it in a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. You donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. I got to say, there's a lot going on in Notre Dame land. And there's a lot going on to talk about today. There's a lot going on in Notre Dame land. This is getting to crunch time. And I want to say this. This is a really, really good thing. All of this drama about who Notre Dame's going to play and what the matchup's going to be and all this stuff. And you got the early signing day. You got that wrapped into it. That's wrapped into it. Like, it's just really good to have Notre Dame football right in the middle of the mix, right? Right in the middle of the mix where everything matters and you're not sitting there going, everybody's talking about the playoff and we don't know who our opponent is, and the Cheez-It mayo dump on my head, slap myself in the face, silly ball. It's good to be Notre Dame right now and be in the middle of all this. Nuance. Goolsby always gives me a hard time. John, every time I ask you a tough question on Patreon, you come up with nuance, right? Because for some reason with Notre Dame, there's more nuance to explore with any given topic than any other team. There's a ton of nuance to discuss in who Notre Dame might play in their round one game. You could do the backstroke and swim around for days in the amount of nuance that I can find in all of the different angles. All of the different angles that come into who Notre Dame could face round one and what those matchups could mean or not mean, or how hard they're going to be or easy they're going to be, or what they're going to prove if you win or lose them. Oh, buddy. I'm talking 100% different narratives depending on how this bracket works out. And I'm going to tell you guys again, Johnny is not smart enough to figure out this stuff. I'm not. I don't have an analytical mind like that. I'm a feeling guy, a vibes guy. I don't have the analytical mind to sit there, and I didn't draw out a bracket, and I need to figure in who needs to win or lose to do this and move us and do that. And then how are you supposed to account for how this committee's going to deal with Notre Dame at the end of it? Like, I see people figuring out this stuff and whatever, but like, how do you know how they're going to ultimately, what they're going to do down the road? But there are some matchups that, man, Ronald McDonald says, John, you're not smart enough to figure out Kelly lives rent-free in your head. It's actually the other way around, Ronald. It's the other way around. We're living in the head of LSU people and Brian Kelly. That's why he's lashing out, because he's failing and falling behind. That's why he's making promises he can't keep. That's why all he can do is run his mouth while his recruiting class falls apart at the seams and he loses almost a handful of football games. Ronald, fix the McFlurry machine and listen to what I'm telling you. The guy's lashing out because he's falling behind. And it used to be, well, this year on the field, it's a bad one, but we got all these 5 stars coming. Oh, hasta la bye-bye. 3 of the 4 of those guys are gone. See ya. They could say it's for money. They would partially be true. They would partially be right when they say that it was for money. But the most genuine relationship Ryan Kelly has is between him and his putter and his wedge. It isn't between him and any recruits. It makes it a lot easier to leave for money if you get the chance. I'll stand by that. I'll stand by that until the day I die. And you could say that's mean. You could say, why are you being like that? Whatever. From what I've been told about how things work here, I'll stand by that till the day I die. So whatever, take it or leave it. I don't care. We're in his head. We're in the LSU media's head because they're starting to realize everything we warned about's happening. Enough about them. We got Notre Dame stuff. And I got callers. Notre Dame stuff. There's a huge difference, you guys. There's a huge, huge difference between an Alabama roster and an SMU roster or somebody else not Alabama in round one. There just is. There just is. It's not about record. It's about roster. Can I get you to understand it? It isn't about record. It's about roster. And an Alabama roster, even in the cold weather, that's a rough round one matchup. Round 3 and round 4, that's more what you expect to match up with roster-wise. All right? Round 1, that's a tough matchup for Notre Dame. It just is. Now, oh, John, you're scared. Don't you want to play the best and beat the best? I'm not scared. I'm just telling you, all these matchups are not the see. This is what I don't like about society now. Everything's in extreme. Everything's in extreme. You can say in a round 1 game, the Alabama matchup's a bad draw for Notre Dame. That's like bad luck, or they're doing it on purpose to stick it to Notre Dame or whatever. Roster on roster for round 1, that is a very rough matchup for Notre Dame compared to a lot of other ones in this bracket. It just is. It just is. That doesn't mean, oh, there's no way you could beat them. You're saying we're scared and you're bowing down to the SEC. No, why can't it just be in between? Like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Are you understanding me? My position is completely philosophically consistent. It's fair to acknowledge for a round 1 game, that's a bad roster on roster talent matchup for Notre Dame. That is true. To me, it's undeniably that is accurate. Part 2 is, okay, you're going to have to go beat them then and use the weather and find a way to contain Milroe. Like, whatever, man. But it changes the entire, if you draw Alabama round 1, this whole thing changes instantly and it goes to a whole different stratosphere, a whole different scope, and everything we talk about changes. Everything, I'm cooking right now, callers. I'll come back to you, I promise, quickly. Everything changes. If you draw Alabama round 1, everything about this discussion changes compared to SMU or somebody else. I don't know. But if you draw, it's not scared though. You got like Sly acknowledging roster on roster, talent on talent. It's an unfortunate matchup for round 1. Doesn't mean you're scared. I would be excited about the opportunity to get that win at our place in the cold over that team and have all that credibility and everything. That doesn't mean you're scared when you acknowledge it would be a rough physical matchup. It doesn't mean you're scared when you acknowledge it'd be a rough physical matchup. That's just acknowledging a fact that game's going to be harder physically than some other matchups. But that doesn't mean you can't win it. That doesn't mean there's not a path. But for a round 1 matchup, roster on roster, talent on talent, bad matchup for Notre Dame, Alabama. It is. It is. And if you wanted to say, well, here's the other thing. A lot of Notre Dame people have been going, well, hey, you got 3 losses, you're out. Don't lose your games. Like, whatever. You see, people all the time. You want to complain about the playoff. Don't lose multiple games, whatever, right? Don't lose your games. Don't lose your games. Okay, I get it. Well, Alabama lost a few games, right? Okay, well, if everybody's going to say around here, going to say, well, you lost a few games and whatever, and the SEC's overvalued or whatever, then you need to beat Alabama. Then you need to beat Alabama. Right? Like, if we really think it's just the SEC's overvalued or whatever, okay, you need to beat Alabama. You need to have Milroe cold. You need to have him in his head because it's cold and get after him. Notre Dame going to need to score some points against them. Where's that coming from? Indio running on anyone? Okay. I'm just saying that's a different level of talent on that roster. I don't care. It's about roster, not record. It's about roster, not record. So tough draw for Notre Dame physically, talent on talent in round 1. Some people are saying it doesn't matter. Some people are saying it doesn't matter because you got to beat good teams if you're going to go all the way. If you're going to go all the way, you got to beat good teams and all this stuff too. So what does it matter whether it's round 1 or a different round or whatever? I mean, this is pretty logical to me, right? Like, Don't you want the best odds of this Notre Dame team advancing to round 2 and knocking off a 30-year streak of losing major bowl games? Would you not rather enter the game with an opponent you had a better chance of doing that for, or a lower? So I don't understand that argument, other than you're being a tough guy and I want Alabama. Other than you being a tough guy, there's no logical reason anybody could say I want Alabama first. You just want to be a tough guy. And I'm fine with that, but you better back it up, because your round 2 game would be easier than your round 1 game. Listen, do you hear me? Your round 2 game would be easier than your round 1 game, but you got to get by a 5-star roster. You got to get by a 5-star roster. That's fine. You could do it. There's a path there. So acknowledging it's a bad roster on roster situation does not mean you're scared of it, but there is a vast, vast difference in how these matchups are going to be looked at. Now, I'm not smart. Omar's saying God has a plan. I'll accept whoever. It's honestly, Omar, that's where I was at last night with it. That's where I was at last night with it, man. Whatever it's going to be, and you got to find a way to win it. Bama, to me, is a really, really tough draw for a team that maneuvers itself into their own playoff seed. You don't think you're facing a 5-star rated roster with that matchup, and that if that's what it is, that's just a bad draw. It's a rough draw. But if you're the TV execs, you're telling me they don't want Alabama and Notre Dame in the playoff? You kidding me? The week of Christmas? Are you out of your mind? They're salivating over it. They're printing the money already. So they're going to push for that. I'm not smart enough with whatever you guys tell me. I ain't smart enough. Whatever we want to happen, somebody put it in the chat with, we want this team to lose and win to make an easier matchup, whatever. But if you're a Notre Dame fan saying, I want Bama round 1, you're saying that because you want to be a tough guy. You're not thinking of it logically. Logic says, give me the easiest roster to beat to get to round 2. Check off the 30-year thing. You have that in your pocket, and then you have more momentum. You want a playoff game. And then it should get harder as you go from there. That doesn't mean you're scared of Alabama. I'm just telling you the truth of the situation. Once you acknowledge it's not a favorable matchup, then what? Then you win anyways. What do you mean? Then you win anyways. You refuse to lose. It's at home. You hope for cold weather, and it's got them all messed up, and you play great, and you win. You win. You win anyways. And when you do, it's a big deal, even though they have a few losses. When you win this one, it's a big deal. There's more risk, but there is more reward. Not in terms of practically in the tournament. You're going to advance to the next round no matter who you beat in round 1 and check off the 30-year record thing. But these are just such vastly different paths. If you're able to beat Alabama, man, that signifies a lot of things compared to like an SMU or something like that. It's a totally different world, man. If you're able to do that against Bama, it would change things. That's different than beating SMU or Indiana or something. It just is. It's just a harder hill to climb in the moment. So I don't know. So let me know what you guys think about that. And so I want to know what you think about these matchups and what it may be and what you want to happen or not. And then I also want to know, we'll take some calls, and I want to know what you think about signing day. You know, Notre Dame's class and all that stuff. I have some thoughts here that I want to go over. And also, we're going to be doing a breakdown on Patreon with that, bring in a guest or two as well, and go over the signing day and all that kind of stuff. So, and we're running a special over on the Patreon for the rest of the playoff run for new subscribing customers for the next month. Half off, get all the playoff stuff. After that, cancel it if you want. Go to the keep it running and go full time. NDCFP, capital letters. That's the promo code. Be able to get in there, get everything. Look, you guys want to hear what you want to hear. You're all tough guys today. You're all tough guys today, and you're letting the muscles and I'm just telling you, you're not thinking logically. You're trying to be tough guys because logically, your point makes no sense. Logically, you should want whatever gives you the best odds of advancing to the next round. You can't tell me that's wrong. No one here could tell me that's wrong. And the only reason you're saying it is tough guy stuff. There's no evidence. There's no logic. It's tough guy stuff. And that's fine with the tough guy stuff. Love you, Johnny, but that's why you're behind the mic and not on the field. You don't shy away from a challenge. Wouldn't have said that before 10 straight wins. Did you? It's like no one, you just hear what you want to hear. When I just said me acknowledging it's a bad roster matchup does not equal I'm scared of it. It's just an acknowledgement of the matchup. What is confusing about that? I don't know what's confusing about that. That doesn't mean you're scared. It means you're acknowledging talent. Isn't that what we're supposed to do here? Think critically about what's going on? It's tough guy stuff. It's not logic. It's tough guy stuff. You want to be a tough guy. That's it. There's no logic behind this other than I want to be a tough guy and I want us to go beat Big Bad Bama, bring on the blah, blah, blah. Logic says you should want whatever matchup you're favored, but most likely to win to get to round 2. And that's not Alabama. That's just, this isn't a debate. This isn't an opinion. What I'm telling you is all facts. There's no debate. There's no opinion. There's no differing opinion. No. Everything I'm telling you is a fact that you can't deny. But if you draw Bama, man, you got a chance to do something big. Man, you got a chance to do something big. But I get the tough guy stuff. I want to be that way too. And it would be a different level of historic if you beat Alabama at your place. It would be. But there's more at risk too. Your round 1 game would be harder than your round 2 game. That's not an ideal scenario for anybody. So just acknowledge it. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with that part. So let me do a couple chats and we'll do, I got to get Andrew and Dr. John here and they could go on their day. But I want to see what those guys think and everybody else too. Andrew with $5 holler, 224. He's going to give me some more. V1 rotate $5 holler. ESPN says we can't judge teams at who they lost to when it comes to Alabama, but they're first in line to point out Notre Dame lost again. V1, thanks for the holler. One of the things I dislike most about this committee and the way this is all done is week to week, team to team, situation to situation, they change their rationalizing and reasoning for everything. So it just doesn't matter. Whatever they have their mind they want to do, they retrofit the philosophical angle to justify it and whatever. It's always retrofitting it. Decision first and then find how we're going to defend it later. And then that's easy to get home base from that. So that's how they do it, man. And every team's judged by some different criteria or whatever. That's why nobody trusts the way this is all done sometimes. $10 hour from my lawyer in Michigan. It's BS. Penn State still at ND. Once Oregon beats them, ND gets 5th seed, which is sweet. But wait a second, though. Wait. I'm going to the callers. I was told that they said nobody that's not playing can move up in the rankings or whatever. So I'm all confused. Why am I seeing people tweeting and writing that people are saying that guy, Ward Manuel or whatever, in between covering up scandals in Michigan, had time to go on TV and tell everybody that teams that aren't playing aren't going to move up or whatever? Am I dreaming that? Why are people tweeting that and putting that around? I don't know. But maybe I'm not making sense with my Alabama take. I'm sorry. For a round 1 matchup, roster on roster, that's a horrible draw. That doesn't mean I'm scared or you can't win it. It's over. Don't even bother to show up. No, it's just a factual acknowledgement of the roster and talent on that team compared to almost any other Notre Dame could face in round 1. Bad matchup, roster on roster. That doesn't mean you're scared. That doesn't mean there's no path to victory. It just means acknowledge that. And I just think it's logical to root for whatever you think gives you the best chance to knock off 30 years of bad history and move on. That's logical to me. The idea is to move along. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe oh, John, you're so soft. Everything I'm saying is just basic. Doctor, I'm going to get Andrew in and out of here, back to work here, and then we'll give you your time, my friend. Andrew, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, John? Thanks for taking my call, man. Appreciate it.
Andrew, there's a lot going on in Notre Dame. It's kind of cool, man. Like, instead of things winding down, they're cranking up in Notre Dame land. It's actually a pretty nice jolt of energy for this time of the year. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And really exciting stuff. sort of interesting how they've moved up signing day, but I'm not really that interested in signing day other than if the linebacker out in Southern California, if he's going to potentially rethink his, because like everything is going toward USC, but it's sort of baked in what our class is. I think there's highlights and there's some misses there, but yeah, what I wanted to call in was talking about what you were talking about, Notre Dame seeding. I wanted to talk about future quarterback and how I think Notre Dame might be making some major errors for the 2025 season. So yeah, I wanted to start with, I think first off, I think Notre Dame is ranked appropriately. I want to be with the crowd that says Notre Dame should be ranked above Penn State, and it's because of how they've dominated their schedule. But then I think about Notre Dame last year when so Notre Dame played probably what I would say is a tougher schedule than Penn State last year. But I would rank Penn State's schedule halfway between what we played this year and what we played last year, and the common denominator is Ohio State. And I would just say that there's I really believe that there's a cumulative effect when you play Power 4 teams. And Notre Dame felt that last year when Notre Dame had to play Ohio State, then go on the road to Duke, and then go on the road to Louisville, and then eventually play Clemson on the road. That took. I honestly think Notre Dame's team last year was just as talented as Notre Dame's team this year. It's just that was a gauntlet of a schedule. And so I think even though Penn State didn't play as tough a schedule as what we played last year, they played a much tougher schedule, in my opinion, than we did this year. Because when you go on the road at Wisconsin, when you go on the road in Morgantown, when you play Ohio State, there's a cumulative effect there that it's tough to win all those games. And I'm sorry, I don't respect Navy and Army in Miami of Ohio and Northern Illinois nearly as much as a Power 4 team. So I think I'm not complaining about our seeding, but I totally agree with you that I'm not trying to play Alabama in the first round. And it's because of that cumulative effect. It's like, yeah, let's say we beat Alabama and it takes everything that we got to beat them.
Right, that's a good point too.
I think that takes a lot out of you, especially a team like Notre Dame, who is paper thin at a lot of positions, at defensive back, at offensive line. God forbid we lost a running back or something like that. And then we're going in and playing in a neutral site game against somebody tough the next week. So I just think, yeah, it's a tough draw. And all these people who are trying to say that Alabama doesn't deserve to be ranked 11, just look at the ESPN Football Power Index. I think they played 9 or 10 in the top 50. They played 4 or 5 in the top 20. So they've played a really tough schedule, and so that's why they're at where they're at. And so even though they've lost 3 games, they still have 5 stars all around the field. And so I think that sucks. It's a tough draw. I'd much rather be playing a Boise State, an Arizona State, an Indiana, or something like that.
It's just dude.
In Alabama.
I don't think this is controversial, Andrew. This is just looking at roster talent and depth, and it's just a fact that would be a tough draw for round 1. And I realize that comes off soft to say. It's just a fact compared to all the other teams you just said. It's just a fact.
The playoffs is a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet. You don't want your first game in a gauntlet to be because I think Alabama is potentially as tough as some of the top seeded teams. So you're essentially playing a top seeded team for first round.
Dude, I can't understand that people
beat Georgia,
but they're going against me on the chat saying I'm wrong, and and it is controversial, and I'm giving the SEC too much respect. It's just, you can't intellectually tell me you watch football every week and you're going to tell me Arizona State or Boise State or SMU or whatever has a similar roster that would challenge Notre Dame to Alabama in round 1. You cannot tell me you believe that. And if you don't believe it, which is the accurate take, then you're on my side. I don't understand what's going on here today.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not that I'm trying to duck Alabama, because you got to.
Me too, right? But I'm for round 1. That's a rough physical matchup.
Exactly, and if you're ranked in the top 5 in the country, you would expect that you get a decent matchup.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Okay, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that's soft to say. I really just don't. Anyways, but if that's what you get, then you have a chance to make major history. But it would be a whole different challenge on a whole different level. And it would be super interesting to see. So I don't know. That's what I think.
I think we do want, if we do think we deserve the 5 seed, which I think we do. The only way I think we get it though is if Oregon just really blows the doors off Penn State. I think that kind of settles a lot of things with that, and then I think they could slip us up.
Oh, but I thought they weren't going to penalize teams for losing and playing in a game and not everybody qualified for. What happened to that? If it's really bad, you could bend that.
I think so, and then they could just say, "Hey, well, they're still hosting a playoff game. We didn't knock them back to going on the road or anything like that." So I think that they could justify that. I think what they are saying is Alabama and Miami are both not playing, next week. So there's no way Miami can jump Alabama. So
yeah, So I don't know. People are disagreeing and they're continuing to whatever, man. This is not up.
It's just bravado. It's bravado. It's like
it's tough guy stuff. You're not acknowledging the roster facts. It's just a roster fact. What I'm saying, it's not even up for debate.
USC was the first tough team we had played in a while. I don't consider Georgia Tech that tough of a team because their best player was injured, Haynes King. And they gave us everything that we could handle in that game. So I just don't understand why you would, if you could play at Arizona State or Boise State or someone like that, why wouldn't you want to play them in the first round when you're going to have, at least 3 more tough games? It doesn't make any sense. So,
what about these quarterbacks? Cool. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, and me and you have had this conversation a bunch over the years, but I just want to reiterate this, whether it's in your chat or you go on to, I'm a member of multiple message boards, 95, I would say maybe even 99% of Notre Dame fans are of the opinion, I am so sick of portal quarterbacks. We need a homegrown quarterback. And they're using, and I understand that sentiment, but they're using that argument to push, we need to start either CJ Carr or Kenny Minchie. And it sounds like that's what Notre Dame's going to do next year. They're going to stay internal. And I just think it could be a very significant mistake on the part of Notre Dame. And this is the reason why. Reason number one, our schedule is so much tougher next year than it was this year. If we don't pick up a week 0 game, which I think with our schedule next year, we still have to pick up a game. But if we don't pick it up in week 0, then that means CJ Carr or Kenny Minchie, their first real snaps as starters are going to be on the road at Miami first game.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so think about that. And then later on in September, you've got Arkansas and you got Texas A&M, both 2 SEC teams. And then the first week of October, everybody on the message board poo-poo this, but it's ridiculous. The first week of October, you have Boise State coming to town, who I think is going to be the new number 1 team, like the Cincinnati of the G5. They're always a good program, and since they've made the switch to Spencer Danielson, their coach, they're 14-2. So they're back to vintage Boise State teams, and it's not just the running back; they're good all around.
All right. So what do we do then? So we got to go get another portal guy. At what point? But at what point do you not get any regular recruits anymore at that position because they always get jumped and guys are like, "Why waste the time, man? If we're just going to do it."
Well, I got 2 answers. I got 2 answers for that. First answer number 1 is okay, fine. Because I think we can all agree CJ Carr is the real future. Kenny Minchie has been at Notre Dame now for 2 springs, 2 fall camps, and 2 regular seasons, and has yet to pass Steve Angeli. And we can all agree Steve Angeli is not the future of Notre Dame. Or can we agree on that?
Yeah.
So Kenny Minchie can't beat out Steve Angeli, but he's going to magically figure it out this offseason? Maybe. But I mean, I think there's a fat chance that's going to happen. So we're going to put all of our faith in CJ Carr, a guy who played scout team quarterback the entire season, was injured half the season, wasn't even throwing the football.
So are you forgetting So are you forgetting another rental guy if it's the right guy?
Well, yeah, I am, because if you look at other schools who redshirted or basically sat their star quarterback the first year and then started them their second year, those guys weren't buried on the depth chart. You look at Tennessee with Nico, the Polynesian kid. He was their backup quarterback, played in 5 games and took significant snaps his freshman year. You look at Drew Aller at Penn State, played in 10 games his freshman year. A lot of mop-up duty, but they gave him a lot of snaps so that when they turned it over to him his sophomore year, he'd actually taken first-team snaps. Where was that? If CJ Carr was supposed to be your future, why was he buried as the 4th quarterback? And literally, I can't remember. Did he take any other snaps other than literally 4th team snaps against Purdue that one game? I mean, that's the preparation that you gave your quarterback, and you're going to start him? Yeah. I think that doesn't make any sense. What I would do is I'd go out, if I think Steve Angeli's not the guy, which I don't think he is, I would go out into the marketplace. And if a guy like Haynes King hit the market, I'd go after him. Why would I go after him? Because Mike Denbrock has proven since Deshaun Kaiser, since the Cincinnati quarterback who played for the Falcons, mobile quarterback, to Daniels at LSU, he does really. And then with Leonard this year, he does very well with mobile quarterbacks. And so if there is a veteran mobile quarterback, I take him in the portal, and then I have a real competition between that quarterback and CJ Carr. There's plenty of examples where teams have gone out and got portal quarterbacks and didn't just hand them the job. Spencer, whatever, from Oklahoma State went to Ole Miss. They did not hand him the job. And in fact, Jackson Dart beat him out for the job. So I would have a real quarterback competition. If the veteran wins, wouldn't you rather a veteran quarterback starting at Miami first week to give you a chance to win that football game? And if things fall apart during that tough September schedule, then you can hand the reins over to CJ Carr. Why wave the white flag and take our lumps when we don't have to? You're gonna put CJ Carr back there with no wide receivers. We're gonna be
if you're doing it, it better be the right guy. If you're gonna kick the can down the road again, and you're gonna forsake that any like in-house development or whatever, it makes me nervous, Andrew. I totally get the appeal, and I get what the early part of the schedule looks like. I totally understand it. Do you need to bite the bullet at some time and have rookie mistakes and just put your roots in the ground that you're going to grow a homegrown guy? Do you need to do that at some point?
Well, John,
or are those old times? Are those old times?
Are you cool with going 7-5 or 8-4? I mean, if you're cool with taking the lumps and go 7-5 and then set it up for 2026, then I say, yeah, go for it. But I don't think this fan base is very cool with going 7-5.
No, I'm with you. Listen, there's not an easy solution. When you look at the situation they're in at that position and you look at the front part of that schedule, there is no easy answer. Like I'm fine to debate this because there is no easy answer, man. I see positives and negatives to doing it each way. I see positives and negatives to doing it each. There is no easy answer to this one, man. I'm with you. There really is not an easy answer.
I'll just end on this. That anybody thinking that taking portal quarterbacks kills your recruiting, then what I would say is, why is Notre Dame doing so well with quarterback recruiting right now? I mean, they signed CJ Carr. They almost signed Deuce Knight, and then they flipped a quarterback from Clemson, which Clemson has like an impeccable record of developing quarterbacks. He flipped him. Tim Hyde seems to think that guy is a real star quarterback. You've got a decent quarterback already lined up after that. So it really has not affected Notre Dame recruiting at all. You look at schools like Oregon, who just constantly go to the portal. They keep signing
all right. So let me flip this.
You got quarterbacks like Tennessee. Tennessee, the first 3 years, Josh Heupel was the coach at Tennessee. He started transfer quarterbacks. It did not affect his ability to recruit a high school quarterback. So it's a fallacy to say that.
All right,
it affects your high school recruiting.
But here's the thing, man. Everybody knew, and it kind of slipped out of the program for a while now, that the plan was to stay in-house for a quarterback competition. And this was the last time they wanted to go to the 1-year rental. That was just like out. That was well-known information all year. That was the operating principle we were coming from. So then what, man? Like, what signal does it say that like Miami gets plopped in the front of the schedule? Now we panic and abandon the whole plan they want to do, and all that NIL money that was going to go for D-line and wide receiver help now has to go to another quarterback. Like, just because that Miami game got plopped in the front of the schedule, now we're scrapping the whole plan that everybody's been talking about for 6 months now. How does that come off?
Well, if that was the whole plan,
there's no easy answer. I'm just these are difficult questions.
Well, hey, listen, if that's your plan, then why would you bury CJ Carr on the depth chart? Why wouldn't you have?
It's a fair point. No, it's
him ready for 2025.
It's a really good point. And I think Goolsby's talked about this too. The cognitive dissonance I have between you want CJ Carr to be the next guy to start, but he's not good enough to come in as the backup. Running up to it is kind of, it's a little hard for me to get, but could you make that argument that he's the best guy to be in line to start next year, but not the best guy to come in as a backup in a short-term pinch this year? Can you make that argument? I don't know. We're exploring some tough things today. I don't know the answer to that, if that's logical or not.
I guess you can make that argument. I mean, that happens all the time in the NFL where where the rookie quarterback is probably not the second best quarterback on the team. Probably the veteran third stringer who's the practice squad quarterback is probably first day on the field a better quarterback, but they still put the rookie quarterback number 2 because they want him to learn and be ready for halfway through the season or in his second year.
Yeah.
So by burying CJ Carr on the depth chart and then having him play safety on the thing, you really haven't set yourself up for, like, basically he's got a much larger learning curve into the off season, and then like, if Steve Angeli isn't being handed the job, I gotta think Angeli's going to consider transferring. So then it's really going to be a competition between two guys who've never taken any meaningful snaps. Why wouldn't you bring in a veteran quarterback and try to get the best guy you can get? And you tell him, hey, we'll pay you good NIL. But we're not going to guarantee you the job. Because at the end of the day, we're Notre Dame.
I wonder if that changes things. The fact that there's no doubt to me these last two guys, Sam and Riley Leonard, both been told they're going to start. If, like, everybody knew that was not to me ever in debate. I don't care what they were saying or the media was saying. It was never in doubt with either one of them. They were the guys. Maybe you do go for a guy, but it's and you make it known that, like, it's an open competition. Maybe that changes things. Maybe. I don't know, Andrew. It's dangerous to kick the can down the road at that position forever. But also, you're right. What Notre Dame fans wants to go on this journey only to take a step or two backwards? Nobody's open to that either. So you're in a rough spot where you can never have a rebuilding year. I get it, right? It's a very tight spot.
Yeah, and I would just end on this. Look at Michigan State in-house at quarterback. That was their one thing that was, like, if they had any semblance, like, can you imagine if Riley Leonard played for Michigan? They're probably a playoff football team right now. You look at Oklahoma State in-house, was a guy that we really wanted, Jackson Arnold, and they had a true freshman who was a 5-star, really took a major step back. Then you even look at successful teams like Penn State and Tennessee, both homegrown quarterbacks. But I would argue, even though those guys put up good numbers, those guys could not throw their teams back into the game when they were down against a good football team. And so it just makes you think, like, what if Tennessee or Penn State had a Dylan Gabriel, had a Riley Leonard, had a Cam Ward? So I just put it out there. It's not as good as you. I think that. I'm as frustrated as anybody. I don't understand why Notre Dame can't sign like a Bryce Underwood or something like that. But at the end of the day, I'm not about developmental years at Notre Dame, especially in year 4 for Marcus Freeman. And I'll just tell you, I think that, has Marcus Freeman done a good job recruiting? Sure, he has. But I read Steve Wilfong's article. They have to go out and get upwards of 12 to 15 transfers to fill in a lot of the holes, because they're losing a lot of veteran presence on defense. And then they've done such a bad job of recruiting at wide receiver. They're going to have to get another 2 or 3 wide receivers again. And then they got to fill in the gaps like at like defensive back. Unless you want to start a bunch of true freshmen out there or play a bunch of true freshmen, they're going to have to get another nickel, probably a safety.
You've just burned the whole thing down in the last minute. Jesus God.
Well, do you want me to tell you that everything is perfect for 2025? That's why they're all in for.
I've never been that guy. I've never been that guy, and this has never been that show. It's just we keep going down the path further and further. Andrew, thanks for the call.
That's the truth. All right, cool, man.
Yeah,
Have a
thanks.
good one.
Thanks. This was God. You always stir it up, man. But there's no easy answers, man. I don't have good answers. Like I don't have a strong opinion or not. I just think you're in a tough spot with where you're at the quarterback position and what the front half of next year's schedule is. It's a rock and a hard place, and you got to figure it out. It's well thought out stuff. Have a good one.
You too.
See ya. Man, it's just listen. People are going. It's all or nothing. That's what I'm struggling with. Pat, I see you donated. I want to get Doc in here too. Listen, it's all or nothing, man. I get it. It's all or nothing. And I say just acknowledge that roster-wise, Alabama is a tough round one matchup for Notre Dame compared to the others. And suddenly I'm scared to play Alabama. That's not how it is. It's just an acknowledgement of their talent. That's all. That's all. So I don't know. And again, I'm not smart enough. Somebody tell me who we want to win or lose to position things. I don't know. I have no idea. Oh, boy. Where did I leave off with these? And we'll go back to the calls. 80s guy, $20 holler. John, I agree with you. We need Oregon to beat Penn State, have them drop. We move up to the fifth, play Arizona State. Penn State will have 2 losses. We will have 1. I thought they said they weren't going to penalize teams for making it into the title game, and they were going to try not to do that because why should you get penalized while Ohio State sits there nice and comfortable because they lost? So how are they going to handle all that? $5 holler from the rotate. When Poverty State predictably gets their doors blown off, I'm assuming they'll move down. They keep saying that they don't want to penalize these teams for making these games. Is it get to a point where if it's a big enough blowout, then they just do it? West Palm, Pat, $10. Andrew makes good points as always. But eventually Notre Dame has to take its medicine and have a rebuilding year at the QB position. May as well be next year. It's West Palm. There's no easy solution, man. I don't know what to think the right path is for Notre Dame. Do you look at the front half of that schedule and go, we have momentum now. We don't want to take a step back to 9-3, 8-4, whatever. We need a veteran guy to navigate the front part of that schedule. We're going to find one. He could compete. And if he wins, whatever. Or do you just have to say at some point, we want to anchor in with a young quarterback in-house that we could build everything around. And we think that's the path. And oh, by the way, theoretically, that frees you up some dough to go get some wide receiver help or some defensive line help or whatever you feel like you need to do in the portal and pay for it and compete with Brian Kelly for because they're really going for it in the portal this time. $10 holler from the V1 rotate. According to Andrew, we go recruit good quarterbacks, but because they're young, we never let them play or start ever, and we just continually get one-year rentals. Like, I'm telling you, there's no easy solution. Like, it isn't that simple, but like on some level it is. I kind of get it. Pat, what's going on? And then I got to give the doc his time. What's going on, Pat?
Yeah, I don't need to be long. So the Alabama thing, first off. So obviously I agree with you. Yes. Would I rather have Arizona State come to Notre Dame than Alabama? For sure. But I don't think the Alabama roster is as good as it used to be. So I don't.
I agree with that. I agree with it's not what it used to be.
More on par. I would think Notre Dame would be more on par in a game against Alabama than it would have been in the past 12 years. So I'm not.
I agree with that.
It's not a.
But there's still a difference. But we're still acknowledging there's a difference, though. But there's peak Nick Saban era Alabama. There's now, and then there's a big drop down between now and Arizona State's roster in round 1 coming to your place.
I would totally agree to that.
Yeah.
And I think this is your point of it's not scary. It's just different. It's not scary. It's just different.
Correct.
I think Notre Dame matches up very well against this Alabama team. There's really just that quarterback you got to worry about. I'm not impressed with the Alabama defensive line or offensive line. So it's not a team that scares me. And then when you factor in it's going to be about 35 degrees when they play, I just don't see Alabama playing well in the winter in South Bend.
You are totally correct, though, about the roster.
ASU, you got to be.
I agree with you about the roster. But when I see people saying I would prefer this one round 1, I just think that's a little reckless. Like, wouldn't you want to to me, the logical thing is give me the one with the best odds of Notre Dame crossing off the 30 years of bowl history, making history, and keeping their run going. And like the idea is to move along. And so it's just, if you look at the percentages of likelihood of that, the better the roster talent difference for Notre Dame, the higher their odds are of that. But that doesn't mean there's no path to beating. I could see a lot of paths of Notre Dame being Alabama at home. I could also see it going bad.
The only thing, the only aspect to that I see, again, I agree fundamentally. I would rather have ASU than Alabama, just from the perspective of I think it's a much easier game to play. And also, if you're in that 5th seed, you're going to get Boise State. So you're going to have a much easier round to the semifinals. The only credence I give to wanting Alabama is if I'm for real, I want to know if I'm for real.
That's a good point.
And while I think, I what I know is
it's a good, but couldn't you figure that out in round 2 and knock off the 30-year bowl history thing so none of us have to read about it again, and then figure it out if you're real enough in round 2, Pat? Can a brother knock off that 30-year bowl streak first?
You're gonna get this. So here's
then I'll figure it out.
The reality of it is Notre Dame is not going to get any credit until they win the semifinal. So the reason you don't want to be in the 6th seed is you have to go through Oregon in a bowl game. And I don't want that game in the second round. I want Boise State in the second round. But if I'm going to have to play Oregon, I want to start with Alabama because I want to make sure my team is tested against a really good football team and knows what that speed and that pressure is like. We saw some speed. We saw some pressure from USC, but I think Alabama is still on a different level than USC. So if I'm going to have to play Oregon, yeah, I kind of want to start with Bama because I want to make sure my team is truly tested. The easier path is through ASU and Boise State, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to beat these teams. Now, regardless of any of it, I don't think Notre Dame is going to get credit for beating Bama. I don't think Notre Dame is going to get credit for beating Arizona State and Boise State. If Notre Dame gets the 5th seed, they're going to get, they had the easiest path to the semifinals. If Notre Dame
is that a big deal to you, though? Is that a big deal to you? Like, no, I would rather erase the 30-year negative history and take some crap from haters on Twitter than the other way around,
but
right?
You're not going to erase it. You're not going to erase it. They're going to do what they always do to Notre Dame. They're going to asterisk it. If you beat Bama, they're going to say it was a bad Bama team. It was a Nick Saban-less team. It was an 8-3 football team that had to play in South Bend in 30-degree weather. Of course they're not going to beat Notre Dame. You're going to get all the excuses like you always do. Going into it, everyone's going to say Notre Dame's going to lose, and then Notre Dame, if they come out on the other side of it with the W, everyone's going to make up the same excuses. And it's going to, and that's going to keep happening. It'll happen if Notre Dame's in the 5th seed. That'll happen if Notre Dame's in the 6th seed until they unless they can beat Oregon.
I mean, at that point, I don't know if I care. I want to start knocking off Notre Dame history, Pat.
I don't care either.
I am obsessed, Pat. I am obsessed. I'm absolutely obsessed with eliminating that stupid quote. The whole statistic that Notre Dame has not won a major bowl game since January 1st of '94, coming off the '93 regular season. I can't handle it. I need it to be over. I need this team and this coach to be the ones to do it at home. Like, it's all there. I need it, whatever it is, whoever it is, however it looks. I'm obsessed with this being the year that goes away and we never have to deal with it again. It's time. It's past time.
That plays a bigger part for you than it does for me.
It does. I'm obsessed. I want it done. I want it done. I want him to show that modern Notre Dame football doesn't have to be tied to that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Everyone's allowed their opinion. I don't have to agree with it, the loveliness of life. But my bigger thing is that if I have to play Oregon in the second round, I want to make sure I'm tested in the first round. If not, I will take 2 warm-up games until I get to that point. That's kind of all it is for me. All right, now quickly the quarterback position. Look, I'm not trying to make this Andrew Gilmore thing. I understand his perspective. I don't disagree to a point, but at the end of the day, you have to stick with what you have. And I'm going off of what Marcus Freeman has been saying. I don't know what his plan is. I don't know what happens at practices. I don't know who's working with what. Maybe CJ Carr is just working with the practice team, but he's getting a ton of reps with the practice team. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he has his roster, his depth chart on paper, and then he's got his depth chart if shit were to hit the fan. I don't know what things look like. I personally think Angeli was made the backup to make sure that he didn't transfer because he got jumped by Minchie or Carr. Because he wanted to have 4 quarterbacks on the roster, so he wasn't in the situation next year where he didn't have enough bodies in the room, and he was forced to go to the portal regardless because of a number of bodies. Next year he's likely going to lose Minchie or Angeli if one of them is not the starter. But you can survive that with an incoming freshman and a CJ Carr and a Minchie and Angeli, whichever one stays. That's the thing though. Now here you're stacking your roster to protect against the transfer, and you're stacking your roster to make sure that you have a quarterback of the future. But I don't know what his plan is. He says all Freeman ever says is he believes he has the player he needs to win next year on the roster. And that's all I need to know, because I'm at the point where Marcus Freeman as a head football coach with the guidance of Mike Denbrock, who has been an offensive coordinator for going on 20 years, I trust in their decision making. Those guys have given me no reason to not trust in them. I'm not there, so I have no. It's not like Brian Kelly's selling me something. So I'm going to trust in what he tells me. And to the argument that you don't want your rookie quarterback taking his first snap in Miami, remember Kevin McDougal? Does anyone remember Kevin McDougal? The guy never played a down until he came in his senior year, and he was a starting quarterback at Notre Dame. I mean, at some point, before the transfer portal, this is how it works. This is how it works. So why, just because we have a transfer portal now, do we have to be so afraid of how this used to work? If you believe your quarterback is on the roster and you think he is ready to take a snap against Miami, I don't care if it's at Miami or Texas A&M or Notre Dame against any, I don't care. If you believe your quarterback is ready to do that, if you believe you have a guy on the roster, let him do it, because that's the way it always worked. And it's the way it can continue to work. And Angeli will be a senior next year, and Angeli has plenty of playing experience. And if Marcus Freeman believes that's his guy, then that's his guy. And if it's CJ Carr as a true sophomore, it's CJ Carr as a true sophomore. I'm going to let him do it, because at some point you gotta turn this over to somebody, and you can't worry about, because we have to open with Miami and we got Texas A&M and Arkansas all in the first month, we have to go out and get a guy. No, how about we just make sure that we spend the spring and the fall making sure that whoever the guy is going to be is ready to play football, just like college football has operated for 100 years before the transfer portal.
It's complicated. It is complicated, man. The modern way that a lot of this is done, if you look at the top 10 or 12 teams and how many of them they're succeeding this year with transfer guys, it's the bulk of them. Like, it's just a complicated thing, but I see value still, and specifically for Notre Dame, and anchoring and having a guy to build around with some stability for a little bit. Like, I see value in that. If it's the right guy you're anchoring yourself to, like, it's a complicated situation, and the front half of that schedule is a real bear next year. This is a real situation.
It is. And look, I know when Riley came in, but look at what we just went through. We just had Sam Hartman and Riley Leonard come to Notre Dame as transfer quarterback. And, Sam Hartman did not work out the way we thought it was going to work out. And then Riley Leonard, it took him, probably because of his injury, his ankle injury, it took him a lot to get up to the point that he needed to, where he's somewhat, I'm still not totally convinced on Riley Leonard, but he's at least somewhat operating at a level that allows this offense to win.
Pat, here's a question.
I'm not going to risk a CJ Carr transfer for that. I mean, look what just happened to Ohio State with Will Howard. The guy that left Ohio State and went to Syracuse is playing better right now than Will Howard is at Ohio State. Ohio State lost that Michigan game because of the way that offense played and Will Howard throwing those bad interceptions. So have seen enough evidence. There's been Jane Daniels, and then there's been everyone else. And by the way, Jane Daniels never had a chance to win a national championship. So I am not convinced that quarterbacks transferring to another program, especially when they got 1 year of eligibility left, is an answer for anybody, not just Notre Dame, but for anybody. It is better to be in a system for a long time and to know the system inside and out than it is to bring a kid in for 1 year, rent a player, and hope that he could develop and ingest something. I mean, we talk about how bad the wide receiver play is. How much is that to blame on Riley Leonard? He couldn't work out with them during the spring and the summer and the fall because of his ankle. So he couldn't really develop the rapport and understanding. He had no practice time with them leading into this year. Like, how much of that development, how much of that play is on the quarterback himself? I agree. The wide receivers don't play well to a point. I think some of them are starting to turn around a little bit, or at least show improvement. But how much of that improvement is tied to Riley Leonard's improvement? Like, I have never looked at wide receiver play as just on the wide receiver. It's also on the quarterback. And so I don't. Yeah, but you say Haynes King, Andrew, but he's not the guy. There were games where the guy couldn't even throw the football. Like, he's not a guy to lead you to a national championship. He's a guy he's a stopgap guy. He's not the guy. He's not what you want. You want a guy that can lead you to a national championship, and you're not going to find that on the transfer portal. Because if the guy was good enough to lead a team to a national championship, he wouldn't be on the transfer portal.
Do you think Notre Dame people would be okay taking a step back for a year to get everything in place, Pat? What if you ended up going back to a 9-3 because you were running out a true sophomore that won the job or whatever? Do you think there would be understanding of that? And a bigger question maybe is, does Freeman think he has the leeway to be able to have maybe a year that's a little rougher? That is a more important question than what the fans and the media are going to think. What do you think about that? Does Freeman feel like he can afford to do that?
I mean, I have to imagine that he's going to get a contract extension at the end of this season. So, or now that the season's over. So
maybe he feels more secure.
Yeah, he's gonna. Of course, I mean, he's just won 11-1 in his third year, and he's got Notre Dame in the playoffs, and he's secured Notre Dame a home game in the playoffs. Like, he accomplished all the goals he needed to do this season. So I can't imagine, outside of winning a national championship, I can't imagine him not getting a contract extension after this year. So I don't think that should be a worry. But at the end of the day, you have to rip the Band-Aid off and play somebody. Angeli is going to be a senior. If Angeli, I think Angeli throws a nice ball. I do. I am not in the area of it's not Angeli. I could totally see Angeli being the starting quarterback, and I would be okay with that. And then I could see Minchie transferring and CJ Carr moving up to the 2 spot, and then boom, CJ Carr has 2 years or will have 3 years of eligibility left after Angeli's gone next year, at the end of next year. So I see what I think Freeman is doing. I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but we'll find out. We'll find out. But I highly doubt he goes to the transfer portal unless 2 kids leave. Unless Minchie leaves as soon as the playoff is over, and Angeli leaves in the spring or something, or however that works out. I just don't see a reason to do it. Well, I don't think the quarterback out of all positions is the position I least like the idea of doing that.
It's going to be interesting. I think you're going to see arguments for and against it. We're going to see if they're going to hold to what they originally kind of said their plan was. Let's see, or if things have changed. Pat, thanks for calling, man. I know you're probably working. Thanks.
Yeah, and real quick, another thing, because somebody just put it in the stat. Jason Smith, I think it was the offensive line. The offensive line next year, I think, is going to be tremendous. It's going to be tremendous. What better time to have a new quarterback come in when you got an offensive, and you're going to have Jaden Price and Jeremiah Love back? What a better time to break in a new quarterback when you got a solid offensive line with stud running backs. It's the perfect time to break them in, because you got people to protect them and watch over them. And I don't think there's a better time than next year to get off this transfer portal train.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
I'm not trying to attack Gilmore, like, I understand where Andrew's coming from. It makes sense to me. It does make sense to me. If you think you're not going to be a national championship quality team, maybe you do go to the portal. But I don't see anybody who is winning national championships by going to the transfer portal to get their quarterbacks. I just don't see that.
Yeah, it's can we worry about one thing at a time? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have all this. Oh man, Pat, thanks for giving me a call. I really appreciate it. There's a lot going on. Thank you.
Yeah, I talk about.
Yep, have a good one. Commander said John needs it. This is referencing me saying logic tells you would want to match up you're most likely to win in round 1 to check the 30-year box and then advance in the playoff. Logic tells me that. In response to that, Commander says John needs a cheap win to give Freeman the free pass credit, and I find that despicable. Let me explain something to you. If you ended up playing yourself into a more favorable draw in your bracket, in your seeding, you earned that. There is not one thing free about that. You earned that. If you navigate up to that 5th spot and you end up in a more favorable round 1 and round 2, you earned that. You earned that seeding and that more favorable matchup. There's nothing free about it. You earned it. Especially if Notre Dame gets the 5 seed, it's the best they can do. It's literally, that would be the best they could possibly do. So I want to clarify that, man. Your thinking of this is like a Neanderthal. You got to think of this differently. You earned that. Nothing's given to you. If you navigate into a better spot, you earned it. And I don't feel bad about that. Let's hope this isn't the team's line of thinking, listen, if this is just going to turn into Johnny's not a tough guy and whatever, fine. There's nothing I've said that's controversial and nothing you can even debate me on. None of this is up for debate or opinion. I'm giving you every single fact. You don't have to like it. I'm giving you facts. Dr. John, maybe you could calm us down. I don't know why we're all so worked up. Son of a buck. Jeez. I mean, you would think we would be in a little bit. Everybody's wound tight, Doc. Everybody feels a little wound tight today, don't they?
Well, yeah, all you young guys do. I gotta tell you a little story that will tell you where I am. Okay. I have a grade school buddy, was a golf coach. Girls golf coach in Minnesota. The last day of his tenure, he won the state tournament. He's a 4 handicap at the time. He goes down to Arizona, gonna play a little golf during his retirement year, first year. He's by himself. He gets thrown in with some old codger. And my buddy is not playing well, and he shows it when he's not playing well. Finally, the old codger can't handle it anymore. He goes up to my friend and says, Hadna, you're too far along down the trail not to enjoy the hike. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'm way down the trail, and I'm enjoying this hike immensely.
I think that's very mature. That's very, very mature.
My ass off in here listening to everybody.
I know. I just think, Doc, everybody's.
I think it's great.
There's
what?
There's just some realness kicking in now. Like the celebration phase after USC is worn off. And I think the realization of the seriousness of this moment and what it can be for Notre Dame, I think that reality is clearly hitting people beyond the original emotions of celebration. And I think that, and then I think you add in like the anxiety of who it could be and how different the matchups would be. And I just feel like, no, I can feel a little bit of that playoff stress. I just feel it.
Well, I can certainly hear it in everybody and read it in the chat. And I would love to play Alabama because the last time I saw him, I almost committed suicide, if you'll recall. I was sitting in the last row of Hard Rock stadium listening to that couple in front of me.
Oh,
They roll tide, and I didn't know if it was going to be a homicide or suicide. But so I'd love to play them, but I don't care who we play. I'm just enjoying this so much.
yeah. And man, I think I needed this call. Man, this is why you serve such an important role in this little ecosystem and in this family. Like, just I appreciate just the perspective there. And it's just Doc, I told Goolsby this the other day. I'm overly obsessed with this team and this coach being able to eliminate that bowl record and get us into the modern era on a new footing with new credibility and a new energy and wipe the slate clean and be able to do away with that cloud hanging over this program for 30 years now. I'm ready for that. And I want it to be this group and this coach. And they put themselves in position. I'm obsessed with them getting that done. It's the next step here on their journey.
Well, two things I would like to see. First of all, I think we can go the whole distance. I mean, the way this season is shaped up for everybody. I mean, Oregon really hasn't been tested, and the one test they had, they barely won. But so two things. I think we can go a long way, maybe win it all. The other thing is, I am enjoying the chaos, and I hope there's more chaos. UNLV, let them beat Boise State. Let Clemson win.
Yeah.
It's just been a heck of a run for us, really. I mean, sure, I was nervous every week, but enjoying the hell out of it and enjoying the chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they have, with this 12-team thing, they've just brought chaos. It's great.
Yeah. And man, I really do think it's not just fans' opinion, but a lot of the national guys talk about it too. It really does feel like anybody that gets hot has a real chance in this tournament. Maybe not everybody with some of the roster disparities, but like more teams than normal have a really good shot of winning this thing. And there is no clear head and shoulders above everybody else team. There is no Nick Saban peaking team. Like there just isn't that Clemson team that beat Notre Dame that was clearly the best team in the country and all that. There isn't that. There is no reason anybody can't get out and make a deep run. Why not us?
Absolutely. And you know what? The other thing that's going to be interesting, it could very well be of this, I don't know, what do you call the group of conferences that don't, not the Big Four or whatever. That team with the best, the conference champion with the best record may not even be in it.
Yeah, that's weird.
And you know who that could be?
Who? Army? Who are we thinking
It could
of?
be Army.
Yeah, that was my guess too. Yeah, it's a weird, man.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. But you know what else is chaos and the Notre Dame turmoil and everything is the best for? Your show.
I know. I lend myself to the chaos
It is.
and the nuance. Whenever,
it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And dude, it's just really nice to be able to have high-end stuff to worry about for the next few weeks, and for us to be at this level with this much to prove and this opportunity. And I'm just excited for everybody. I'm really excited for everybody.
Yeah, I am too. I'm excited for you, and I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna enjoy the hike.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. It's a really good way to put it. So I'm yep, that's good perspective, and it's needed. And Doc, I appreciate the role you play here. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
You sound like you're in a good mood. You sound like you got a different energy. I can tell you have a little pep in your step, and you have a little Notre Dame energy in your voice. I can hear it, man. I can feel it.
Well, I've got a lot of scar tissue, John. You know that.
Yeah.
So, it's like armor now. So, and it's not that I'm not going to go sink into the couch if we lose a game, but I'm enjoying it. I enjoy listening to you young guys analyze all this stuff. It's wonderful, and I'm enjoying your success.
Oh, I appreciate that.
It's delightful to see it. It's delightful.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Anyway, yeah. Now I don't know if we had a final issue or a final answer on these tickets or not from you. So I got to do something tomorrow.
Well, what do you mean? I say go for it. I say go for it. Whatever you can do, go for it, and we'll see how it goes.
How many do you want to commit for?
Well,
up to 2. You want both of them?
Yeah, if it's possible.
Okay, I will order my max and figure 2 for you if I get them.
And then I will try and make other arrangements in case we need to, should we not strike rich in the lottery. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. I will know. I'll know next Tuesday at some point. So
there we go.
I'll let you know. I'll give you a text or maybe even give you a call. So.
All right. That sounds good. Thank you.
All right, bud.
You're the best. Love you.
You have a great show. You have a great show. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Have a good one. Oh, the doc. Ryan Elliott. God, I love that man. He is literally like, with Grandpa Kennedy gone, that's as close as it gets. I love that guy. Like literally with Grandpa Kennedy gone, that is the closest thing I have to that relationship, and I cherish it and I love it. $5 holler, Ryan Elliott. We need 12 inches of snow for the game. Yeah, you want to talk about logistics. That is a question I have about the weather, you guys. Everybody's saying the weather will be in Notre Dame's advantage. Well, I want to know, how crappy does the weather have to be to where it hurts Notre Dame too, and it's no longer an advantage? That's literally a practical question I have is, how bad does the weather have to be to where it no longer helps Notre Dame as a home field advantage? Like, I don't know. Oh, man. So that's something interesting. So listen, the Bama guy in here said, if you get bad Milroe, Notre Dame rolls Alabama. I see that. If it's Alabama, I can see paths where the game is close, stressing you out to the end. I can see a path where Alabama kicks the crap out of Notre Dame, and I can see a path where Notre Dame rolls over Alabama, and the cold weather as a part of it, and they're making mistakes, and the energy at Notre Dame builds. I could see a path for all of those things happening. Notre Dame handling Alabama, Bama handling Notre Dame, a back and forth. I could make an argument for all of them. I genuinely could. It is like with Milroe, it's just like, hitter, is he on or is he off? Is he on or is he off? Is he having one of those days on the high end, or is he having one of them on the low end? It's really interesting to think about. It really is. And so we just need to, and again, the whole thing is his running ability is what gets me, man. The running ability thing is just that X factor dimension and how athletic he is. It's a tough matchup. I'm not saying you can't win it. I'm not saying you should be scared of it. Acknowledge factually it's a very tough round one matchup roster-wise. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. 386, you're in the mix. What's going on?
What's up, John? How you doing, man?
Oh, good. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things to consider in Notre Dame land. You've been listening to some of this. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm right there with Dr. John, man. I'm riding this wave. I'm confident in this team. I'm confident in this coaching staff. There's a lot of positive things to be looking at right now, and respect to, Andrew and the other callers, but there's going to be a time and place to talk about that. We're going to have 7 months to talk about who the next QB is. So, let's focus on what we have in front of us, and that's 4 games to win a championship. Come on.
Yeah, it is. And listen, man, this team has a lot of confidence. They're flying high. You have that home game. The team is going to be excited. Like, it is going to be, this is a great opportunity, man. Everybody should be excited. I know we're wound tight. I know we're wound tight, but it's like This is exciting. This is all history, man. In a place known for making football history. Look at this. I got the Frank Lee and the Fighting Irish. This is my second Bible, I call it. This place is known for football history, and this team's making more already. And we're not even to the opportunity to win a few games here. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love it.
Yeah, man. Just take a deep breath. Some of you guys got to take a long, big, deep breath.
Well, I think I might be one of them that needs to do that. I'm admitting that. Dude, I get so turned around in my own head about all the different ways this could go and what this means and that means. Sometimes you drive yourself crazy in Notre Dame land.
Oh, no, that's completely understandable. There's every day a million things to look at. There really is. But when you break it down right now, there's a legit championship on the line, and we are in the race for it. So to come back from that week 2 disaster, and everybody knows how we felt, just feel what we're feeling right now and what this team has had to do to get us there, and coaching staff. Like credit to everybody involved. It's a beautiful thing, like you said.
And you know what?
Notre Dame football, and we wouldn't want it any other way right now.
That's true.
We're not too high, not too low. Like
it's a good point. And listen,
people got to realize how different the bracket is going to change next week too. We got to stop hyper focusing on it right now. It's going to change. If we get that 5 slot, the path just gets that much easier.
That's the next thing I was going to say is I'm glad you hit it. It was literally the next part of this that I was going to reference is, man, I'm going to really try and not think of all the different ways that you could play this team or that and let it all play out. Enjoy the rest of the football this week without us stressing out about our play. Enjoy these games, and then wherever it lands, it lands. Here's the biggest piece. Yep. The biggest piece is we have momentum. You did the redemption tour comeback, and you got this game at home, man. You got this thing. Now, if I was sitting there going, do we have to go to Georgia or go to the Horseshoe or what are we doing? That's a different discussion. You got this home game, and that's a big damn deal. It's a big deal.
Correct. And not to mention, if it had played out to where we were traveling, we had that A&M in our back pocket. So we already proved to people that we could play in those big situations. So that was going to be a confident booster to the team if we were in that situation. But what did we do? We got ourselves a home game, and it's going to be history. This is history right now. We gotta take it in for what it is, man. We gotta enjoy it.
Yeah, it absolutely is, man. And it's just but since that bracket thing yesterday, I've felt an energy shift of I think people were thinking you could get seeing that Alabama. Don't you think there's just Alabama scar tissue for people in my age bracket or whatever? There's an Alabama scar tissue thing from the Saban era. I'm not old enough to know what it was like when Notre Dame used to beat them in the 70s, stuff that my dad's era had. I don't have that. I think there's some of that too, but Pat's right. This isn't Nick Saban era roster at Alabama. It really is.
Saban team.
Yeah, really.
Saban team. Not a Saban coach team.
Yeah, now some of those guys still are Saban guys, but I just mean it's different now without him there running it. The whole it's just a different world. It just is. And so
they've lost to 6-5 Oklahoma and 6-6 Vanderbilt. It's not the same Alabama team. People got to consider that. But yes, they're a good roster. They're a good team.
Yeah, but
they have lost to very bad teams as well.
Yeah, so but I'm not going to. But okay, but let's be fair. We acknowledge that. And I'm also saying I would feel better about our chances of winning against an Arizona State type roster than an Alabama one. For some reason, some people think that's up for debate. And I don't think it is up for debate. I think it's just a fact.
Yeah, it's not up for debate. But my mindset right now is anywhere, any team, any place. This is the confident in this team. I think might be the highest out of the country. Well, I mean, Oregon's right there too. They haven't lost, but they have yet to play another big game in a while. So, they're also going to get tested. There's still so much that can and is going to happen. It's just, this is college football right now.
And again, dude, bracket. I'm not smart enough.
We did what we had to do to get into it. Like you mentioned, it was one of the boxes you had to check off, and we checked off both of them. Here we are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we're just going to have to see how it goes. I am not smart enough to figure this all out. I have no idea what this committee wants to do. Now, let me ask this. behind closed doors or whatever, or in these people's minds that are in the committee, do you want me to believe that there's no consideration of like what would be an unbelievable round one TV matchup? Is it Notre Dame and like SMU or something? Or is it Notre Dame and Alabama? Like, are you telling me they really want me to believe there's no consideration whatsoever for what that would look like with these matchups? Should it be a consideration, or is it in the back of their heads and they don't even know they're considering it? I don't know.
Yeah. In my personal opinion, I don't think Alabama should even be in the playoffs just from what I've seen. I don't care what their roster is. I just personally don't think that they should even be in there. But again, there's also going to be other big matchups, which brings them a lot of money. Also, it's Notre Dame. You know, every Notre Dame game brings in a ton of money, so you got to think that they're looking at that as well. So,
yeah, I don't know, but this is going to be Bama Charlie says, John, it's all about the TV money. Well, if it's all about the TV money, Bama Charlie, especially for Bama Charlie, then it's going to be Notre Dame and Alabama. If it works out at all, then it's going to be, if that's what it comes down to, compared to Notre Dame and any of the other teams being mentioned for that round one game, then it's going to be Notre Dame, Alabama in a winter wonderland in South Bend. It's an unbelievable scene to even contemplate in your brain. It'd be awesome to see.
Yep. It would be incredible. And it's going to be incredible regardless. You know, I'm hoping Oregon can win this weekend by 2-3 scores and we can slide into the 5th seed. I think that's what's ultimately going to happen. I think we are the better team. We should be ranked ahead of them. So I think that's how it's going to play out.
Man, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. So I just hope we can enjoy this, you know, some high quality football, low stress for us this week with not having a game, and see where the chips fall, get a little healthier and get gear up for this game, man. Hey, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it.
Dude.
On a Work It Out Wednesday. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to mention one more thing too. I've seen people mention it. Playing that Southern Cal team and their skill players that they had is going to be a big confidence boost to this defense.
Yeah, I thought that too. After a bunch of weeks of playing not the best talent, I thought it was a good eye opener to remind those guys they're going to face better talent in the playoffs and what it's like to face some twitchier dudes and more athletes. I thought it was a healthy thing. Now that you survived it, I think it was a good thing. I'm with you.
Yep, correct.
I love that.
That was my last point. I just appreciate you guys. I appreciate the Always Irish fam. I'm hoping to get to the next tailgate, and I can't wait to meet y'all.
Oh, thanks a lot, man. You guys are a loyal Notre Dame family down in Florida. Keep representing, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Let's go. You already know. Go Irish.
Oh, I love it. I love that family's energy. There's a bunch of them. If you're on old, you are going to be on the air. This makes me laugh. Quantum potential. Any projections on who ND plays in the first round? I think that's genuine from somebody who jumped in later, but it's just funny because for an hour and 15 minutes, it's been the entire debate. It's been for an hour and 15 minutes. It's been the main debate. And everybody's like, no, you're an idiot. You're soft. No, you're soft. No, you're soft. It's just funny to me. I don't know whether that's sarcasm or not. If they've been there the whole time, but if it was genuine, it was perfect timing because we literally been debating it the whole time. We need a pass rush, Tom. It's a fair point because if you think about it, man, we weren't even getting real pressure on USC that much. So I don't know what you want to draw from that. And I don't know what you want to draw from that. Tim, what's going on? Welcome to the show. If you're on old, you will be on the air. What's going on, Tim?
Okay, your analysis is dead on. But, John, what is the ultimate goal? I know you want to get the first round. You have to take baby steps. You got to get that one. The ultimate goal is to win the title.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Easiest path. This is a miniature path version of the NCAA tournament. Do you think anybody complained when the 16s did the ones a favor and took them out? Or the ones got taken out by the 16s, what I meant to say. No, nobody cares about that. All you want to do is get to the final.
No, but wait. This is about the percentage of likelihood of that happening in each round. It's just it's about the percentage, what gives you, that's all this is, man. It's just, I'm not disagreeing with you. It is about winning the championship.
No,
but mathematically, But mathematically, why wouldn't you want the more likeliest path to win these games in advance? That just seems logical.
And it's a less physical team.
What?
100% in your corner. I'm agreeing with you. I can't believe these clowns don't get that. I mean, the other point is, how many injuries did we have this year?
I thought you were
don't think they're
disagreeing
better
with
than
me. I thought you were disagreeing with me.
Then let's say Arizona State or Boise. Have you lost your mind?
I thought
Not
you were.
you. I'm defending you. You've got people in there that you have to argue with.
I thought you were.
defending
I thought you were saying. I thought you were going the other way on me, and you were going to say I'm soft and you want a
No,
piece
you
of
lost your
Alabama.
mind.
I
No,
thought.
you know.
I thought you were going to say I want an elephant head as a trophy, and I'm bringing it.
Hell no. And I had enough good wins against them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm Alabama.
Yeah, it's
I
now.
want to win. You know ultimately what I want.
Yeah.
I want to win 4. And it's a lot easier to beat a weaker team
Well, that's
and get
what I'm
the week
saying.
2 because then you have something to look forward to for a week. Why the hell do you want to play? I know you've got to beat good teams. Good. Can we get to the Final 4 and then win 2?
Yeah. Okay. So you are thinking of it the way I am, man. But I just listen though. I could definitely see a path to Notre Dame beating Alabama. It is just not the matchup you expect if you're that highly ranked, and Alabama backed in, and it's about roster, not record. Roster, not record. That's all I'm saying is I respect their roster. I respect their roster.
Let's face it. We thought SC had a lot of talent in the skill positions. You're telling me Alabama doesn't?
Yeah. Now, Tim, if you beat them, though, you get a lot more street cred, and everybody looks at Notre Dame. Lou Alt's talked about one thing we want more than anything else, respect. If you beat in Alabama at home if you beat Alabama in this moment, that changes things compared to if you beat an Arizona State or an SMU. There's no way around that. You advance just the same. Make no mistake about it. The result is you advance and you live on. That part stays no matter who it is. But it's a very, very different thing around the nation and what it means respect-wise if you beat Alabama. I think Pat saying you get 0 credit. I still think people respect Alabama in a way they're not gonna if Notre Dame beat Arizona State or something. I do. I just think that.
But your statements are 100% right, and hold fits to that because that was my sophomore year.
Pat's saying there's no difference. He's saying there's no difference in beating Arizona. I'm not saying a practical difference. You advance either way. I'm saying you don't think it means anything different if Notre Dame beats an Alabama, just that helmet compared to Arizona State. I just think helmet alone, it means something different, what it represents. Sorry, Tim.
You're right. No, you're fine. No, you're right. 100%. Perspective-wise, yes. I don't care, though. I just want to win. My goal is I want to get as far as we can and win, have a legit shot. And I think this year we do because I don't think there's a dominant team.
Yeah.
And that's my whole purpose of this because we don't know what it's like when you make the playoffs in baseball. You don't know how many times you're going to get to the World Series. Look at the Yankees. They've only been there, once in the last 19 years? So you don't know when this is going to come up again with the way the dynamics are now. So let's go on the furthest run we can. I think we have enough talent. I mean, assuming we don't have any more injuries. But why? And this tough guy, no. And I don't care what people think anyway. That's why I don't go on Twitter. Why would I care if they think? Either you're going to love Notre Dame and want to win no matter what, or you hate them anyway and you're never going to give them credit.
Yeah, that's
no
true.
Matter who we beat.
Or you know what?
You know what they'll say? You know what they'll say? Oh, well, they got the easy path to get the 5 seed because they didn't play anybody.
Yeah.
Well, we've debated that a long enough time. Is that on us because of Miami? And by the way, how'd Miami turn out anyway?
I think some of this does make sense what they're saying in the chat of it with the way they'll twist this Alabama thing is if Notre Dame loses to Alabama, then it's going to be Notre Dame can't compete with the big time roster, blah, blah, blah. It was a fluke that they hung with Texas A&M. Notre Dame doesn't belong, blah, 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 blah. And then if you beat them, then they're going to go, it's a 3-loss Alabama team that's fallen off without Nick Saban. You don't get credit for it. Maybe people are right. It's so the negativity around Notre Dame is so extreme. You're probably right. You don't get much credit either way.
But you and Pat's analysis have been dead on. You guys have been 1,000% right. I don't care why other people don't see it. There's not one thing I could even argue against you on that. No, you guys were both dead on. I'm not even going to go to that quarterback thing. Could we just enjoy this run? We'll deal with the quarterback when we got plenty of time in June and July.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
I'll have one question, and I'll let you go. I appreciate you taking the call. Have you heard? We didn't lose anybody, right? I haven't seen anything yet.
I don't think so. I don't think they were expecting to lose anybody last minute, and I'm sure I would have heard about it by now if it was going to happen.
I think it was 25, wasn't it?
Let's see here. I got it up on the other. sheet here. Sign. I mean, it looks to me, I don't see any surprises unless I'm sure I would have heard about it, Tim. I haven't heard any surprises, really good or bad. So make that how you will.
Okay, well, that's good. Now, you made for you. A team I thought had a legit shot at the Final Four. They've fallen apart. The poor women, what the heck? And they didn't get another key injury. That was a bad. After they destroy SC, they go lay an egg in the Kansas. I don't know what they did down that island, but they got embarrassed twice.
Yeah, I don't. And again,
what do you do about the men? Good Lord, that's going to be a long year. You understand? I suffer through all this. So
I know.
The main child's got to take care of business and get me in the title game.
Yeah. The main child's got to carry all the dead weight and justify it. Man, hey, listen, are you going to consider trying to go to the game or no? Watch it at home and drink a cold one or what?
No. I've had a watching. I've got a couple close friends, and I've been on the sidelines for that stuff, and in the student section. When you've been in the student section for the 88 run, it's just not the same environment to me. You can't match that.
Yeah, it's a different that old.
No, I get why everybody else would want to go. It's historical. I get that.
Yeah, that old building used to get loud. That old building, you didn't need a jumbotron and a bunch more seats. That place used to get loud the natural way, all natural, baby.
Although I do like the field is better though, because think about it. There used to be some sloppy games in that grass where by the end, by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll have a great. What do you think? How far do you think we go? You don't know, or you got to see who the matchups are?
Yeah, let me see the bracket. If you give me a bracket and I see what we're lining up against it, some of these brackets are night and day, Tim. Some of these look like really tough week-to-week runs, and others look like you're walking into round 3, win a game, and you're in the championship. Like, it really, really does depend on the bracket. And I know that is like a BS answer, but I need to see what I think we're up against first.
That's fair. How many times have you seen Alabama play?
A bunch.
Have you seen them a bunch?
I have, just because I've watched more SEC football now with the LSU intrigue and everything else than I ever did before. And so I watch them a lot. It depends on what Milroe you get. Good Milroe, bad Milroe makes the whole difference. And can you stop him from running?
Quarterback, right?
Yeah, and can you stop him from running, taking off on you? But if he's on and he's running, you're dead. And if you could bottle him up and he's off, he'll throw you the ball. Like, it's hot or cold Milroe. That's it.
What about their defense?
And I literally hope he's cold, like literally cold, right? And so it's not an original Nick Saban era Alabama defense, but it's plenty good to, be better than most teams just on the talent. That's my take.
Okay. So, give us Arizona State because they don't like the cold weather either. I don't know. I think we can get there. But the other thing it's going to be, like, depending with all these weaker conferences, I still logically don't know how that all plays out either.
Me neither.
Because I thought originally I thought it was, okay, the Power Four got the automatic bids, and then Notre Dame at top could get 5, and then the other I call them the baby conferences. I thought they just got one bid. No, they can get up to 2 or 3, I think.
It's all a little confusing. And then there's the ranking, and that's different than the seeding. And then it's the highest rated top 4 gets the. Yeah, I don't know, man. And what needs to happen with UNLV? It's all a little confusing to me, man. So somebody needs to send Johnny. Somebody send me a cheat sheet to just tell me what needs to happen to find the most likely path to Notre Dame advancing a few rounds. Somebody send me a cheat sheet. Who do I need to root for that?
I'll let you go off this point. You know what's going to happen, though. If we get a bad cold spell in the Midwest and two SEC teams come up here and lose,
that'll be the last time. They'll be in domes. We'll be in domes the next time. So you better enjoy this history while you can freeze, right?
That'll be the first round.
Yeah.
This will be the only year. So anyway, well, have a great week, John, and thanks for taking the call.
Have a good one, buddy. Thanks for making it. People were saying that Tim is inhaling during the call. It is funny. It would be the most Notre Dame. It would be the most always Irish thing ever. It's just this guy saying, I'm calling John talk about Notre Dame. This is stressing me out. Hit the Nate dog. Smoke every day. Oh, my God. That's funny to me, man. That's really – it was just funny how people were putting that in there. The consensus is if Clemson beats SMU, Alabama is out. Stack Daddy, $2 a holler. So the consensus is if Clemson beats SMU. Okay, so somebody's giving me something to look at here to make sense of all this. So we want Clemson to win, and then it helps us not play Alabama in round one. Sounds good to me. I'm rooting for Clemson. Go Dabo. No portal. No portal. We hate the portal. We hate the portal. I don't know. CNAP, $10 holler, best show in college football, onward to victories. I just appreciate you guys representing us down in Florida. I'm going back to the calls. Does Penn State drop if they lose? I think the only thing that changes the bracket is if Clemson wins. Is there a reshuffle? I thought they were trying to say they're not going to penalize teams for losing in an extra bonus game they earn their way into that other teams that are already safely in the bracket, like Ohio State, because they lost enough, don't have to risk another loss. So I thought they were saying they were trying not to penalize teams for that. At the same time, if you get some blowout where a team looks like crap and it's not even competitive in a championship game, you're saying that doesn't matter at all? It doesn't matter at all? So I don't know the answer. But okay, so we want Clemson to win to maybe make it less likely to face Bama. Okay. Jay Lamont, $2 hour. I seen the new Nate Dogg drop. I had to do it. I told you guys I was going to do it. Every other city we go, I had to hit that Nate Dogg, man. Them golden pipes, baby. Those golden pipes. 443, you're talking to me. If you're on hold, you're going to be on the air. What's going on, 443?
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It has been a while since you've called. It looks like early September. Lots happened in Notre Dame land. I want to know what.
Well, I actually called on Saturday and donated to the chat, but my phone was out of battery. After about 2 hours, so I had to hang up.
I'm sorry. That's a bad deal, but we're making up for it now. What's on your mind? Thank you for the donation. I'm sorry. I remember that. It was a long night on the phone lines. 3.5 hour show. It was a marathon, folks.
It was actually what's on my mind. And the reason I actually wanted to call on Saturday was a call to action, but that call to action didn't exactly materialize because the only people that showed up in Athens, Georgia last night were a couple of Notre Dame fans. The actual basketball team no-showed.
Sometimes I do think I'm thankful that my emotions only get triggered with the football, not the other sports. I want them all to do well, but they just don't hit me emotionally the way the football does, for better or worse.
And of course Marcus Burton's out injured, and that's probably the best player on the team, so I guess that has something to do with it. But you know what? How I'm feeling about this, I really do not care who comes in to South Bend, Indiana.
Okay, so you're of the thought that you believe in this team. You're happy that we're making this history, and you will take on all comers, and it doesn't matter to you. We're going to grind it out and win. Is that your thought process?
I think that it is very possible we grind it out and win. Now, my only real concern out of the potential matchups would be if Alabama has good Jaden Milroe.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like a switch with him, good, bad. And when it's bad, it's real bad. But when he's on, it's really hard to stop that offense, especially with the running dimension, too. It's weird with him. I've watched a lot of them. It's either hot or cold, man. He's either a mess or he looks like one of the best players or the best player in the country. It's weird.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm really worried about, though, Boise with Ashton Jeanty, he is probably the best running back I have seen in a long time, and I watched a lot of good running backs.
Yeah, I think the question with that would be if they matched up with more of a traditional roster with better talent than what they play week in, week out in their conference, how would that look? And would that guy still have the running lanes to be able to put up the numbers he's putting up against a different level of competition or defense that's more athletic than what they play week to week? That's one question that I have.
Well, they played Oregon, and they lost against Oregon, but I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me from that Oregon game, but I'm sure he performed adequately.
Yeah, and listen, the guy is great. The guy's great. It's just, I want to see. It's just very one-dimensional because he's like their main thing. So that would be very interesting. And again, don't forget, we get them coming to Notre Dame next year too. Boise State coming to Notre Dame. Yep, it's going to be interesting.
And the most interesting part about the schedule for next season is having to go out to Arkansas, because we did it against A&M. It's notably a very loud Kyle Field. Yeah. Arkansas is kind of a middle of the road SEC team. It's not like really good. It's not elite level, and I would argue it's in that kind of third tier of, if you play them at home, they're probably going to play a little better than on the road, but you're still kind of expected to win.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
And speaking of Brian Kelly, I find this hilarious, especially after the season that Maryland had this year. One of the Maryland basketball players is attempting to recruit the LSU wide receiver that just entered the transfer portal.
I like it. Let's do it.
Brian Kelly losing a guy to Maryland is hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It's I just the way you're laughing at it is just, it's joy. It's just joyful. I'm never gonna feel bad about that. So I don't know. I'm with you. I'm excited. I do have a little anxiety though. Just, you want to know who the matchup is. That's the only thing. I just think there's a little anxiety. And then I can't let you go without asking, do you have any thoughts on the 25 class? Early signing day. Any thoughts on Notre Dame's class?
I think that our class could have improved a little bit, but I think this is going to be a bridge class. I think we're going to have a much better 26 class than a 25 class.
I like that.
Losing the big quarterback is a bit of a loss, but you know what?
Yeah,
we've
tough.
got CJ Carr, and we've got Noah Grubbs coming in 26. I'm not worried.
Yeah, I like how sure you are of certain things here. I like it a lot. Yeah, and so it's going to be really interesting. Now, the one thing on the this staff's done a good job with their evaluations. They have found some 3-star guys that people are going, are they good enough to play at Notre Dame? Are they athletic enough? Whatever. And they turn into really good players once they get to Notre Dame. So the evaluations seem to be pretty good, and they are developing guys, especially on defense, a lot of guys. And so that's good to see. That's encouraging.
You mentioned defense, and I'm gonna mention something here. Back on signing day, I think it was a couple of years ago, and the kid from Wyoming, Luke Taylor, signed. I basically went into his Twitter and told him I thought he was gonna have a scholarship by, spring of like this year or something, and lo and behold, he gets a scholarship. I know his footage was all Wyoming football, and that's not exactly the best football, but I saw something in him, and I'm really glad that I have been vindicated by our excellent coaching staff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good point. And I don't know, man. These guys do a good job with their evaluations, and they're getting more credibility on that. Now, I'd like to see more of it on offense. Do you agree with that? A lot of it's on defense. I want to see. I want to see. Like, you got to figure out the wide receiver thing. What do you got to do to get some good wide receivers in here?
What do we do? Well, if we can recruit quarterbacks well out of high school, we can use some of that NIL transfer portal quarterback money to funnel into the receiving core to try to get better receivers on the back end. But the issue with that is these receivers are going to expect maybe the similar type of quarterback they had at their old school, and I'm not sure how that would play out. But anyway, the biggest, like, the receiving thing is, like, we've always been sort of a running back school. Give it to the big running back and let him bulldoze people. And I'm not saying that you don't need good receivers to play well in college now, but it just feels a little, off to me. Not that we haven't had great receivers in the past, but it just feels a little, iffy. Given how we historically played. I'm sorry.
I just like how you're saying it feels iffy. There's a lot of Notre Dame land that's felt iffy to me. That's why I laughed. Like there's a lot in Notre Dame land that has made me feel iffy, especially in my lifetime. That is very, very well stated. Anything else, my friend? Sorry that I missed you the other day, but I'm glad I caught you today. Anything in the way out?
Yeah, absolutely. Get well soon, Marcus Burton.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
All right. Good touching base with you. Sorry I missed you the other day if you donated. You guys are jerks. You guys are jerks. I swear, you guys are jerks. Here's the thing. Look at this. I really want Chief's just trying to get Johnny Boy, but he ain't. But I got a good answer for this. I really want BK to win a title, says Chief. The only people outside of his family that think this are the same people that sit on their couch and go, you know who I want to win this major golf tournament? Patrick Reed. If you know, you know. If that hits you in your sports world at all, you know exactly what I mean and why I said it and why I picked that guy. And if you don't know, you have no idea. But the only if you're not in the family, the only people that ever would say that would be like, you know who I want to win it all? Patrick Reed. That's my guy. Like, I just can't. And do you remember Patrick Reed came to a Notre Dame game and took a picture with Brian Kelly, and he had all Notre Dame gear on and he had his arm around Kelly. It was perfect. It was just like, it was so perfect. So yeah, if you really want BK to win it all, you're pulling for Patrick Reed down the stretch. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Mark with glasses, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
Mark, are we wound tight? First thing I want to ask, first things first. You're here every single week, every day, year round. Are we wound a little tight, or is that just me? Like, we feel as a niche, a little wound, a little tight about a lot of things. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, and I always kind of think that I worry about everything, but I'm hearing people worry about shit that I'm not really even thinking about right now. So
yeah.
So just show you, like, we're always worrying about everything. But like for the next year quarterback thing, that wasn't even on my radar. But Tyler Horka had a tweet this morning that Freeman was asked on the Urban Meyer show about getting away from the transfer portal quarterback. And Freeman said he has a strong conviction that the future of the program is in the house. So that's just even more, pointing to all signs that everyone's convinced it's CJ Carr. And so, I mean, that's kind of off into the future in that. But, as far as now goes, like, I'm sick of this fat Streck parading around every Tuesday, that Ward Manuel. I can't wait till he's off my TV.
I know.
And I think it'd be cool if you did a live reaction show Tuesday night. I don't know if you're able to do that, but I think that would be pretty cool.
Is that the final one? Is that the final one they announced Tuesday, and then we'll know where we're going? All right. Well, if it's like that, then I probably should do open up the phone lines, call me right after they announce it show. Maybe we'll set that up.
Yeah, and I think it'd be really cool, to kind of get that Friday night game and kind of usher in the new playoffs and the most historic stadium.
That's interesting. I've thought about that, Mark, because
meets the future.
There's only it's one game Friday and then 3 on Saturday. So you would have the full window, and it would be the first opening of the whole new playoff thing. And it's a standalone game, only one that night. That's an interesting angle.
Yeah, and then the two games that are on Saturday are on TNT. I mean, Notre Dame on TNT just don't feel right. So give me the Friday night game, worst case scenario.
Dude, it feels like an NBA game. It feels like an NBA game, man. Like, I can't even picture it. Yeah. People are saying, people are saying that they do the final thing Sunday. So you don't have to wait till Tuesday. Sunday will know. So they're going to do a live thing Sunday, it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so yeah, it would be like it's Kevin Harlan on the call. Like, I'm expecting the NBA. It would just all these productions look so different, Mark. Like, the CBS games look a certain way, and the NBC package is a certain way. ABC's package, they all have their slightly different feels in the presentation of the product. Yeah. I can't even wrap my mind around a playoff game. It's just like an alien world that you have a playoff football game in Notre Dame Stadium on TNT. What?
Yeah, they might be worse than Peacock, They might have Charles Barkley on there. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, dude, it's so wild. But what do you think of the Alabama argument? What do you think of that old debate, Mark? Do you understand what I was trying to say about, like, not being afraid of it, but saying that matchup-wise, it's just a rough round one? Is that crazy?
Yeah, I want the path of least resistance. So, like, if you can get, like, the 5 seed, you get UNLV at home and Arizona State in the second round. And then, after that, we're in the semifinals. Like, sign me up for that. Like, why would you want it harder than it has to be?
That's why I said tough guy stuff. That is the only reason that you would say that, is because you fear that you will be perceived as weak or scared if you say that you prefer another matchup over Alabama. That's the answer, is because there's a perception that you will be looked at as feeling weak or scared by admitting there's a difference in the rosters between an Arizona State and an Alabama. That's got to be it. That's the only answer, man, because logically what you said is true. Theoretically, you would want the least path of resistance, so Notre Dame makes it further and further, making more history and making it easier to do that. I just think these are all basic things.
Down the road, no one's going to remember who you beat. Like, Michigan got fortunate that they matched up with Washington and won. We all kind of assumed Georgia would have beat them, but nobody's remembering that,
Yeah. Now, that being said, Mark, I do think it's one of the more vulnerable Alabama teams you're going to have in the last 15 years for sure. And I also think there is no dominant team I expect to run through everybody here. If you get hot and you play good football, catch a break or two, you could make a real run. And that applies to Notre Dame too, damn it.
Yeah, and I'm confident. My biggest concern, like a lot of people, is this field goal kicking. And I didn't realize we're 0 for our last 5 kicks.
Yeah.
And we've missed 8 of our last 11 tries.
Yeah, they are.
Like,
They
why
are.
are we even trying?
Since Jeter got hurt against Louisville, I believe they're in the 30% success range, and that is not enough to risk your playoff lives on. Compared to giving Denbrock 2 chances to get a first down or a touchdown, they're in the 30% range since this all became a problem, and that is not good enough to rely on. It's a real issue.
Yeah, it's a total embarrassment. They need to play call accordingly if that groin issue is still an issue, because there is no field goal range as it sits today. So
there isn't. You missed what was basically an extra point one last week. Like, no, there is no. Freeman's trying to force it even to build some confidence, and they refuse to do it. So it's a problem, man. It's a problem.
Yeah, and if there ever should be a home field advantage, it's got to be this game. And whether we get the crazy weather or not, like, this can't be anything less than a hostile environment. And I want to see Freeman in that tunnel fired up, giving that mean mugging look, the whole country watching, and I want him to say he wants more violence. I want all of it. And last thing real quick is that Saturday night show, I think, was an all-timer. The callers and the chatters, and like if that's how we are, just getting invited to the party. Like, imagine what it's going to be like if we get a win round one. Like, they're gonna, that game's good, or that post-game show is going to be,
Mark, you know what
amazing.
it was? That was the payback for the Ohio State show. That was it. And that one went 3.5 hours too, because I just felt like I had an obligation to let people vent. But it was the most miserable I've ever been doing content ever, and it was a nightmare. And that messed with me, man. This was the payback for that. And people were almost in tears. Like, people were really, really genuinely happy. And it's just great to see how much it means to everybody and all these families.
Yeah. My whole family was on their phone, and we had it up on the big screen. My daughter was home for Thanksgiving. She was in there. She did a super chat. She was laughing at all of us. She couldn't believe. She was like, "This is what you do every week."
This is it. And this is what we do.
Yeah, and it was awesome. So shout out the callers. Shout out to our favorite Italian Domer Wop for dropping the 3 bills.
Yeah,
the playoff lines open.
People were so generous. When they're in a good mood, people donate. So it really helps for the playoff run phone lines. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, but the show you got here, like, really kind of encapsulates the highs and lows, and it's just makes everything better. So
I appreciate it.
But thanks for taking my call.
No problem. Thanks as always, Mark. You're always around, and I really appreciate you. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
Yep.
Mark's a good guy. One of the best. Comes to all the events too. The tailgates, blue and gold. Do people remember the last couple times we played Alabama in a playoff? Be careful what you wish for is all I have to say from the 80s guy, $5 Aller. I do think these Alabama teams are not built the same or have the same edge or mentality. I do think that, but I do acknowledge, generally speaking, there's a lot of talent there. And just because Saban's gone doesn't mean he wasn't involved in getting the talent that's in there now. Don't discount that as far as that guy evaluating talent. There's a lot of Nick Saban talent on the roster, even though he ain't there. $5 Aller from Adam. John, will the committee actually have the guts to drop Bama out if Clemson wins the ACC championship and keep SMU in? Do you want Notre Dame and mighty Alabama? Or do you want SMU in the field? I don't know. Who draws more TV ratings, SMU or Alabama football? Just asking. The other way to think of it, if they're a bad matchup, would you rather play them at a neutral site in the South or South Bend? But if I played them at a neutral site, that would automatically mean we're in the second round. So I'm not understanding. I don't get that. Right? Like the only way that this could be is a neutral would be the next round. So I'm not understanding. John, you always say you're in this for one reason, national respect. The easier perceived teams won't give you that. Listen, I'm not worried about perceived respect from no avatar having trolls on Twitter that have 14 followers that are going to say Notre Dame's playoff run is invalid for some unknown reason. I'm not worried about that. If you make it to round 3 or 4 of the playoffs or whatever, nobody can say you didn't earn that respect. And if they do, they're just blind haters or whatever. But if Notre Dame was able to win a couple rounds of this, nobody could really take that away from you. You don't get national respect by losing to Alabama round 1 because you got a bad draw. You get national respect by making it to round 3 or 4 of the playoffs, no matter who it's against, because you're going to have to play a good team eventually. I don't know. I just think you want to make it as far as you can. And I'm for whatever makes that the most possible. Mark with Xanax. That's a good one. I love Mark's high energy commentary. That's what we keep him around for. 574. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, buddy?
Not much. Yeah, sorry, my phone reset itself for some reason. Anyhow, one thing I gotta ask you. Don't you remember when I said any turnover you get, take it back?
Maybe. I mean, I don't remember everything everybody says on here, but do you like the fact that we did it twice?
We did it 6 times this season.
Yeah, that's a good
Somebody
job.
must have played that audio and sent it to the players.
You think so? You think they took your recording from this show and they pumped it in there, and instead of Freeman giving a speech, they played your call, and then they ran out there and they got 2 pick sixes to ice the season. Let's go.
Well, they could have, dude. They had 6 of these all this year. They lead the nation in defensive scores with 6 defensive scores, man.
Yeah, that is impressive. They did have the biggest turnover margin in the country, I think, or got the most turnovers. I think it was 26 entering the USC game. It's really it's quite impressive. That's really good.
Yeah, and I actually tried calling in the athletic department to see if they would consider doing this, but I mean, I don't know if it's too late to do it now, but it might take away their focus. But before the Army game, I wanted to call the athletic department, but I didn't get an answer because I wanted them to consider putting a leprechaun hat for any player who gets a turnover.
Oh, that's interesting. So you get to wear that every time or something? Give them a shillelagh? I like it. The big question is, here's the big question is, now you got a 3-week layoff. Can they maintain that playoff turning momentum? They always say it's contagious when you get on a streak like that. Can they maintain that into the first round of the playoff? Are you going to try and go to the game?
Yeah.
You're going to try and go? You're local, 574. Get in there.
Try to go. I'm going to try to go.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about that.
Oh, it's going to be fun, man. So do you have any thoughts on the round 1 matchup? Do you not care who they face? You're confident, or does some matchup intrigue you for one reason over another?
I think whoever they're going to get, they're going to win. I'm going to say out of confidence, not out of cockiness. Yes, Alabama included because they're, in my opinion, past their prime. Talented, yes. Very good, yes. But they're not in their prime anymore.
Interesting. And so you think that kind of Notre Dame as a program is ascending, and in a way they're a little more stagnant than what they have been rather than peaking under Saban? Is that the idea?
Well, in my opinion, if you want Bama, this is the best year for it.
Yeah.
So do it with confidence, not acting big, bad, and mighty.
Yeah, and listen, I do think I've written about this too, how this team plays with the confidence, but not in a cocky way where it turns you off, but in like a calm, confident way where they chirp a little bit, but they back it up, and they're physical, and like it's a really easy team to like and a coach to like. It's a really easy team and coach to like, man. People are getting behind this team. It's great to see.
And another thing is, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me, although it actually would be cool if we actually got to play Indiana.
It would be interesting for the Indiana battle. However, don't you feel that it would be a waste of what could be an advantage in the weather if you get a warm weather team? Like you finally draw a home game. Wouldn't it frustrate you to not have any home field advantage?
State more of anything.
Yeah, try
Arizona State has to me more of anything.
Yeah. I don't think Arizona State would probably appreciate coming to South Bend then. That would be really interesting.
We had to face them in their humid weather 10 years ago. And they ran the score up on us. So, yeah, we kind of need a little revenge for that. If you're going to make us come to your humid weather, it's only fair that you come to our bitter cold weather. And if I was Notre Dame, I don't care if we lose the rivalry with USC or not. Next contract with USC, I'm sorry, but you have to come here in November. We're tired of you being too scared to come here in November.
Yeah, that's a really good point. People have brought that up before. It's always in that contract the second week of October.
Like that with Georgia.
Yeah,
they should have made Georgia come here in November. And if they didn't want to come here in November, okay, well, we're not going to have a series with you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then the other thing is, I've seen people say, wait a second, though. Clemson came to Notre Dame in November, so there's a big name team that can. But remember, that's different with the scheduling because that's part of the ACC agreement. So that is not the same as one of these other teams coming on the schedule. Yeah, so that's different.
Yeah, and if you're going to be in town, I will be there. Sorry, it'll be too cold to skateboard in front of you.
I was going to ask, what happens when did your wheels freeze when you're trying to do an ollie or what?
Dude, I'm not 15 anymore. We don't have an indoor park anymore. We had 2 indoor parks out in South Bend, and guess what?
What?
Both of them got shut down.
Come on.
Well, that's because, actually, ours would still be up if Brett Savage, the pro BMXer who ran that place, did not have that brain injury.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, it's man, I need you to have your outlet, and I want you to skate to the game with an Always Irish flag. Can you do that? Or jump on a train and put the Always Irish flag on the train. I want you to do something. You could do a skate video with the Always Irish flag and go right down into the stadium. Let's get it going.
You know what? Speaking of trains, one of my trains, I'm going to be making, I don't know if I should call it the Irish Express or Rudy Express, but I'm going to be customizing it into a Notre Dame themed train.
Oh, that sounds adventurous. I like that. Anything else, my friend? Thanks for touching base. I'm sorry I couldn't catch you on that post-game show.
Yeah, go back to, if you can tell someone find that video, like he was in the screen when I said a turnover is not enough, an interception. I'm just going to say it right now, and you need to put it to a highlight. Guys, getting a sack is not enough. Getting a turnover is not enough. When you get that ball, the end zone is calling your name.
I like it. The end zone's calling your name.
That to every defensive score.
I like it.
Defensive score.
I like it very much. Hey, buddy, thanks for the call, and I wish you warm weather so you can skate. I wish you warm weather so you can get outside. That's a shame. Dude, you never know what you're going to get. This dude's skating. He's chasing trains. Like, it takes all types to run this show. I love it. I love it. 832, we're talking to you. Probably be the last call of the show. I got a whole nother bank of people that just called within the last, 20, 25 minutes, but I got things. I got to get the kid on the bus. No childcare this week. Struggling over here. What's going on, 832?
How's it going, John? You sound like a busy man, my friend.
Oh, this is glorious. I love being busy because of Notre Dame reasons and having extra stuff to do and worry about and write about and call about and do videos on. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Thanks for jumping in. I know you've heard some of the show. I'd love to know what you think about anything. Notre Dame signing class, who we might face in the playoff, what your reaction to USC, whatever, man.
Before I get excited about the future, can we just take a moment? Over the weekend, we got to watch Miami go down. We talked about that. We saw Ohio State get down. Then we saw Michigan people get pepper sprayed. We talked about that, right? But, we didn't talk about Florida State lost its last game as well. So all of us that are 40 plus, all our, arch enemies of the 90s, they all had bad luck over the weekend. So we'll take that. And then we beat our, USC squad. So I got to say it was quite the weekend for Notre Dame fans. So I wanted to first off say that I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, listen, the redemption tour is complete, man. After week 2, your backs were against the wall. You felt like if you lost again, you were done. And they ran the table, and it wasn't against the best opponents every week. We acknowledge that, but they blew people out. They got better, and they didn't lose again. They did exactly what you needed them to do. Good credit due to everybody. Now it's a matter of how greedy can you be and take it further.
Yep. As far as the National Signing Day, obviously I was, I found out, last couple of days that, obviously it looks like we're not going to get those last 3 players that we were kind of gunning for at the end. Yep. Unfortunately, I had high hopes that, we were going to get JOK's, brother in the class, but it looks like all points to Michigan there.
Yep. That's what I've heard too.
For sure. Yeah. And then, we're going to lose the other defensive player to USC, which I'm shocked with him being at the game. The only thing I could think of is maybe playing time because we got such young linebackers. They maybe wasn't going to see time, which I would think they would try to figure it out. But I was shocked because I thought he was almost a lock. And then, we had our foot in the door with Derek Meadows, I thought, but all points to Alabama from what I'm hearing. So,
yeah, it's and listen, I don't know, man. We haven't even really, this didn't even take a turn to where we really dig into that class. And how does Notre Dame get into the top 10 and now lose the top guys out of its class? There's a lot to like about this scouting and the development of the players. But I think it's fair to want the recruiting classes to take a notch up. I think that's perfectly fair.
Yeah. And you just want little splashes here and there since we've taken so many dents on some of the decommits, in the class that started off, top 5, which we always it seems like with Freeman's group, we always start top 5 the year before. And then as they, it gets closer and closer, we get pushed out of the top 10. And it's just, it's just how it's been.
The biggest problem I see is one is you're whiffing at key positions repeatedly, like wide receiver situation. You cannot have this many years of major whiffs in a row. That's a problem. Other positions you're doing great at. So that it's just, you got to improve in the areas where you're whipping. And then the other thing is, man, you can't sustain any real recruiting momentum when every single class, your top guys leave you. You cannot maintain momentum. It doesn't work that way. And every year Freeman's had that problem. So they have to figure out how to avoid getting left at the altar by their highest end guys in every class. It is brutal. You cannot maintain momentum that way.
Well, and also, and this kind of goes back to a little bit of the conversation. I'm not going to worry too much about, who's going to be quarterback next season, but having these transfer quarterbacks doesn't give a whole lot of stability to those wide receivers because they don't know, season to season who's going to be throwing them the ball, so if they find that there's let's say it is CJ Carr. I'm not saying it is, but let's say it is, he's at least going to be there for 2, maybe 3 years. Right. So that way those receivers know who they're going to get, to throw them the ball, because doing this year-to-year thing, I'm sure hurts us because a lot of those, other premier programs, they got 2-year starters minimum. And so, going year in, year out, it's just going to cause those problems.
Yeah, I struggle with this. And we debated it earlier in the show. I don't know if you were around for that. We debated it. In are Notre Dame fans open to losing a couple games to rookie mistakes to be able to plant those roots and whatever? And my answer may be maybe, but it's got to be if you're planting the roots to the right guy and you feel very confident that it's going to pay you back on the high end in a year or two in a different level than what we've got. That's the calculation. I have to say I'm fine with that. I got to believe in what they're doing and that's the guy that's worth doing that for. So I don't know. And a part of me is with the Notre Dame-ness. Like the way Notre Dame's so unique, I just think that like a homegrown guy, I just look at him a little different. And I don't know if that's right or wrong.
It's not. And I honestly, I think what we did was, and I think we just missed the window, right? This would have been the year we would have probably likely would have had to bring that, do that homegrown person because the schedule is more favorable. And obviously everybody fears the future schedules, which again, we thought that some of the opponents that we had this year on the schedule were going to be a little bit more difficult than they really were. So we don't know what Miami team's going to come out next year, right?
That's true.
So
that's
we
true.
don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of the things that are going to be happening, right? So, but at some point we have to rip the Band-Aid off the transfer portal because we're going to have to put money in a lot of other spots outside of quarterback. And I know nobody's talking about it, but I think in order to keep like a Jeremiah Love around, because everybody's going to sniff around him during the offseason, he's going to have a little bit more NIL. I'm just putting it out there. That money that we may be saving from that quarterback may have to go to trying to keep him on the roster.
Yeah, and you know what?
Everybody is going to want him.
It's a really, really good point you bring up is a portion of NIL money no one gets excited about is the portion of it that goes to guys already in your building to keep them from going low pro or going to the portal. No one gets excited about that because it's gifts you already have, and everybody wants shiny new high school recruits and portal guys to add. So I just think it is underestimated how much of that money needs to go to keeping your guys happy or whatever. Ryan Roberts saying NIL is doing fine, I promise. I have been assured from the people me and Goolsby know and that in his circle and the people I know, they say if Notre Dame really, really, really needs something and wants something, money's not going to be a reason they're not in the mix. I repeatedly keep being told money's not going to be a reason Notre Dame can't compete in the modern era. So I keep being told that. Right. Take it however you want.
No, I agree. And then just going into the playoffs, I understand the narrative of, people want to play Alabama and stuff like that, but you got to understand playing teams like that in the first round, it takes a pound of flesh, right? And, you're anticipating you're going to have like a full lineup, right? And nobody really talked about where KVA is at right now. Like with the sprained knee, you're looking at, 2 to 4 weeks maybe. And he may not be available for that game. And you saw how much they missed him during the USC game. And the USC is what they were and whatnot. But I think that game flips on its head if you have KVA and they're be able to run from sideline to sideline. So, then you have a Milrow out there running around on Alabama. And let's say KVA is not playing. That's a huge thing because he's the one that's going to be spying Milrow through that game and preventing him from making those large chunk run plays that he's known for.
Yeah, it's, you know what, man, I need to back off of, I'm laying in bed last night and I'm playing in my brain. Oh, what if we play this team? What would that look like? Blah, blah, blah. I just can't even worry about it till we get there. Let's see how these games go. I'm going to try and enjoy Saturday for some good football and we'll see what it ends up being. I'm not smart enough to figure all the scenarios out. Like, let's see what they do and see what the committee wants to do. And we'll go from there, man. But Notre Dame has a real opportunity here to make and break some history. And that's a big deal doing it in Notre Dame. They have a real chance.
Yeah. And I honestly, regardless of what some of the trolls say or whatever, let's say we do get that bracket that everybody's shooting for, right? The Arizona State through Boise and all that stuff, right? And we do get the championship. Who cares? Let the trolls put asterisks next to it all they want. We got to the championship game just like everybody else going through the playoff. It may have been a lesser bracket, but we still had to go through it, right? So it doesn't matter as long as we get the opportunity and hopefully win the damn thing.
Yeah. It's I'm with you. This is all new territory and it's all new history being made. And I need Notre Dame to ride it as much as they can. I got a video coming out, I think tomorrow, about getting greedy, about how I need Notre Dame to not just be happy to be here, but to really go for it. And you're not promised these opportunities. Like, this is a big, big deal. And I need Notre Dame to maximize this opportunity however they can.
And the word that, Freeman puts down, I feel like it's every other word, preparation, right? I want to make sure that those guys are not, like in the previous championship games and all other playoff games that Notre Dame has showed up at or whatever, they all, they're in the tunnels like wide-eyed and not physically or mentally ready to be there. And that's when we get embarrassed, right? We need to make sure that preparation is done throughout and make sure that everybody's strong and where they're at and not scared, because that especially that 2012 team, you've seen that thing over and over again where, everything, they weren't even on the field yet and they already thought they lost.
Yeah. It was, well, and I'm convinced there's something to do with the head guy's mentality that has to do with the fear in the big game moments. The bigger the game, the tighter a Kelly team played. It was very uncomfortable and obvious. The bigger the moment, the tighter they played, and that is not what you want. And it was just a problem. So I don't know, my friend. Anything else? Thanks for giving me a call, touching base. By the way, phone line's pretty good by everybody today. We're doing pretty good.
I don't really have much. I'm just anxious to see. Obviously, everybody's waiting on Sunday, and then I just can't believe that the season's over already, and now we're waiting to find out what the fate of the Irish are. And
dude,
then we get a few more weeks.
Does it not feel like it's like not that long ago? It was late July, and we're counting off the weeks till camp, and we want to get to football, blah blah, and then it's here, and you flash, and it's gone, and it's Christmas time. It's unbelievable how fast you go in the season.
Well, yeah, and I was the one that I think I called earlier that I went to the A&M game earlier in the year, and I feel like that was just not that long ago either.
Yeah.
And it's just like, now it's over. It's like, wow, where did the season go?
Yeah, it's wild. Hey, man, thanks for touching base. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, John. You have a good one.
Have a good one. What a nice guy. I got nice callers, man. Pilney, $20 winning ugly is still winning. Nobody's perfect. ND is in the mix. Yeah, I can't argue with any of that. It doesn't matter how you win now. You just got to keep winning, baby. It really doesn't matter how you win. $20 from Pilney again. Golden and Denbrock have been the difference this year. Freeman provides the key motivation and attitudes, and the coaches, the assistants back up the swagger. Look at Bama Charlie giving Notre Dame a little respect here. When it's all said and done this year, I admire ND fighting and not giving up after the early season loss. That's what this is all about. Never give up. The old, what though the odds be great or small, the Notre Dame will win overall, right? Here, it's going to be interesting. One of my main questions is how maybe we think about this as we start to wrap up the show. 415, I'll go to you. I got a couple more minutes. 415, you can have them, just a couple more. Something I want you guys to think about. I've been thinking about. Ryan Roberts can chime in here. This is more his world. What needs to happen to get Notre Dame's recruiting to go up another notch? I think we all felt like this was an area Freeman was going to succeed in and be a lead in, and that was a major selling point of people being comfortable having the head guy have no experience in Notre Dame. The idea was he'll at least pump the system with elite talent while he's learning on the job. I kind of thought that was the unspoken agreement we all kind of had with the uncomfortableness of a guy who hasn't done it before, but you get elite talent in recruiting and we'll live with it. How do you get Notre Dame to that point, to get well inside the top 10? Because that's kind of the goal here, isn't it? And if that's Freeman's one of his areas of expertise, how do you get it into this 7, 8 range? I'm not saying number 1, number 2. I don't even know if that's possible with the way Notre Dame recruits and the limitations or whatever, academically, whatever else. How do you get it inside that top 10? 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. Is there something Notre Dame could do in this postseason that makes some more top-end guys more interested in Notre Dame that weren't before? Hey, look at how fun this is, and they're making her playoff run. And I can get a good degree, whatever, if I'm not a 3-year NFL guy. I don't know. I'm just asking. What needs to happen? Why isn't it happening? Do you need to? Is it winning a playoff game? Is it you need to have a receiver people trust that they can see throw the ball around before good receivers want to go there? I don't know what it is. That's why I'm asking the question. I don't know what it is. That's why I'm asking the question. I'm open to ideas. 415, last caller of the day. What's going on?
What's up, John? How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very, very well. There's a lot of excitement in Notre Dame land. I'm very, very, talk about Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful that rather than the football winding down, we're cranking it up. This is a good sign. That's progress.
I couldn't agree with you more. To answer your question right off the bat, you were talking about recruiting and like what we need to do in order to get up to that, that next tier, right? And I mean, it boils down to just win.
Is it that simple? Is it? But okay, win how much? Like, is it win how much? Win how much? What does that mean?
I don't know. I think it's gonna. I will say this: it has to do with winning, but winning consistently. So when you look at like the guys like or the teams like Alabama over the years, or Georgia's, or whoever it might be, they are consistently winning. They've established through their head coach, starts from the top, goes down, right? They established a mindset. They established a culture. They established just a winning way, and that starts to translate out there. And then you start thinking about, okay, well, now I'm going to be on a team in a locker room that truly believes in the leadership, that also wants to get out there and will compete for a national title every single year. But there are going to be certain things that are going to always be an issue. One of which is we don't play in a conference championship. Some of the recruits out there want that. The other one will be the fact that our educational, that like what they need to do educationally is going to be a lot harder at Notre Dame than it is that at Alabama or Florida State or whoever it is.
Yeah.
So you're going to always be contending with those kind of roadblocks, and that's fine because Notre Dame, we are who we are. And when I talked to you on Saturday night, we were talking about the culture. We were talking about how everybody was so emotional with, winning and where we are now. Now is where we have to just lay on the hammer and absolutely take this one all the way. And it doesn't mean we have to win the national championship as much as we all want that and are bleeding for that every single year. And, it would be incredible to see, but it just means you have to start winning and winning convincingly and continuously.
Interesting. And so you're talking about maybe like a little bit of a longer term proof of concept of winning elitely, not having one odd year and then a few where you're dropping back, but more of a consistent output. I think they're doing pretty good with still putting guys in the NFL. Like they still have some of that lineage with tight end and offensive line that's very, very strong. Now they're starting to build that in the secondary, which I like to see. And so I just wonder, if they win a couple rounds and what do you got to do to get a few more of those guys to go, you know what, Notre Dame's a different path, man. This kind of appeals to me now, doing things different and they're having fun and they're winning at a big level or whatever. Because let's admit it. It takes a different kind of guy to want to do the Notre Dame path. It just is a different wiring. It is.
No doubt about it.
It just is. And, it's a different college football way to live, man. It's a different, you are choosing a very, very different path than what most college football players, especially high level ones, choose. It's a different part of your brain. How do you appeal to more of those guys?
No doubt. And how do you appeal? They have got to want it. And that's what makes it so special. Because if Notre Dame was down in San Diego, where I went to school, then, it's like, yeah, you want the beach, you want the weather, you want this, it's all there, right? But it's not. It's in South Bend, Indiana. So you're contending with location. It's not down in Miami. You're contending with weather. You're contending with the size of the school, all those different things. If you're truly about getting a higher education, bettering your chances for a better life, as well as playing on a fantastic football team that has culture and rooted in history, then this is for you. But it's not just based on our history. It's also based on what we're currently doing, right? So these kids who are 16, 17, 18 years old are looking at the head coach. They're looking at the culture of the team. And they want to see, do I want to be a part of that? And right now, Marcus Freeman is absolutely dialed in. And that's kind of where I wanted to go to. I heard a caller, or I think it was on Monday, talking about hey, hopefully Marcus Freeman wins one, or I don't know, or, is it another issue like we had with Tyrone Willingham or some of these other coaches who couldn't win or whatever? Or is it a Brian Kelly who just gets us there but then loses? It's you guys, everybody relax. It's going to take patience to prosper. And the instant gratification will absolutely, or the need for that will kill us. So we need to just be patient with it. Let him continue to build this culture. Let him continue to build this roster, and then we will continue to be successful.
Yeah.
So, I just want to get that across.
Yeah. And you know what else too, man? Notre Dame's a fun place to play right now. These guys are having fun. They're playing. They like playing for their coach, seeing them dancing in the locker room after USC. They're loose. It's a really fun team and they're succeeding right now. And I ride that, roll that. That's got to help with recruiting somehow. Keep riding that.
It absolutely will, because that's what they see. What do they see? They see social media. They see TikTok, they see all the different videos, and they're like, wow, that looks fantastic. I want to be a part of that. So that can absolutely carries over. And not to mention, you just touched on the way that they seemed loose, and they're just like, but they're fired up on the field. They're not cocky or arrogant, but they're just aggressive, and they're playing like they're going to, hey, we'll get in your face. We can do this. And the previous caller was just talking about like how the previous teams, right? Like if we go back to the unfortunate BCS championship against Alabama back in the day, that I was at that game and I was watching the Alabama players get warmed up, and they looked like they were getting ready for battle. And it was just like, who in the hell are these guys? They looked pros, and they showed it that night. This team right now for Notre Dame is playing in that manner, and you can see it on the sideline. You can see it during the game. And I think that, it's almost like when you look at all the different scenarios of who it is that we can play, who cares who we play? Line it up and let's go. I don't care if it's Alabama. I don't care if it's Georgia. I don't care if it's Boise State. But what I would say as like kind of I don't know, just like a warning would be careful what you wish for. Because these guys who are talking about like, oh, what about an Arizona State, or what about a Boise State or SMU or whoever it might be? Hey, you remember the 2007, what was it, the Fiesta Bowl between Boise State and Oklahoma? And it was like everybody just thought Oklahoma was going to boat race them, and what ended up happening? It's like these teams, they have zero to lose. They never thought that they would ever be in a playoff or a BCS back in the day.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Here they are.
That's a good point.
So, it's just like, be ready for that. Like, don't get overconfident here and sit and think that we're just going to run over these smaller teams.
Man, there's so much.
Very likely that we
there's so much more to consider now with all of this, man. Like, it really is beautiful because there's just so many different angles and different ways, like approaches you could take to all of this stuff. This is why they expanded it, man. All this drama, all this media run, all this speculation. This is going to be amazing.
No doubt. It's going to be fantastic. I mean, it's from every single angle, and the fact that we're in it, and now that the committee decided to put us up to 4, I think it solidifies us in that 5th spot, regardless of who wins here or there. We obviously have a home game. So let's just get after it, man. Let's just enjoy this moment. Let's bring in whoever is going to be coming into South Bend in December. And it's just going to be hopefully just cold as hell and just ready to rock. And I hope that crowd is just ready to get after it.
Yeah,
man. It's going to be one of the most amazing atmospheres.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. Hey, man, I got to get running soon. I got one more thing I need to cover. Thanks a lot for giving me a call the last couple times. I appreciate it.
John, always a pleasure. I'll talk with you soon.
Hey, thanks a lot. Really do appreciate it. Anthony says, keep trusting in On3, and I'll keep trusting Marcus and his staff. Here's my comeback to this. I thought about this. I got ahead of this, and I knew this angle was going to come, and I have a comeback for it. I knew this was going to come. I love the way this Notre Dame staff evaluates. I have pointed out multiple times they have found a bunch of people. They have found a bunch of guys that end up, they identify that are 3 stars or lower guys, and they get to Notre Dame and they develop into really good players. Leonard Moore, I believe, is one of them. Morrison's one of them. Like, they find some lower rated guys that aren't that highly star thought of. People go, why are they in the class? They're not good enough for Notre Dame. And then they end up being some of our best players. They do a good job with the evaluation on a lot of those guys. However, that is not an excuse not to land more of the guys you already know are good that isn't up for debate. I'm getting ahead of this. That's not an excuse to not land more of the guys that are consensus 4 and 5 stars that everybody in the industry agrees are really good. Then you need a bunch of them. Then rely on your evaluation on the guys that you have to take at the bottom of the class. This isn't one or the other. I need both. I need you to land more of the guys that are consensus thought of as great players on the high end. And then you use your evaluation skills at the bottom to fill out the class. It's not one or the other. It's not one or the other. All right, everybody, that's going to be it. We're out of here. Good to see everybody in here. Ryan, if you want to break down some talent or break down where Notre Dame's recruiting at and how we could find in a better place. But I don't know why, I just feel like everybody's a little wound tight. And I'm a part of that. I feel it. There's a lot of Notre Dame anxiety here. It's a good thing. It's building anxiety. It's just This is going to be a stressful, 2.5, 3 weeks. Thanks, everybody, for the calls. Thanks for donating. Thanks for the chat. Everybody really appreciate it. Have a good one.